Welcome in, everyone, to another episode of the Vintage Anime Club podcast, your podcast for old school anime, drinking lots of wine, and not talking about Monster Hunter. I am one of the hosts, Dennis. Joining me today is fellow host Kate.
Hello.
Ed.
Hello.
And we got our trio of regulars. We have Karen.
Hi.
Caitlin.
Hi.
And Garrett.
Hello.
We did a lot of things between recordings. Many things happened.
Many things.
That's a fantastic reiteration of
before we get into what we've been watching, we're going to get into what special things we've been watching. First up, Karen, you got to see the live-action Gintama movie. This is the first live-action Gintama movie, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Tell us about that.
Well, you always have to go in with an open mind when you go see live actions of any anime properties.
Mm-hmm.
And you're always like, okay, is this going to be close to the source material? Are they going to take artistic liberties? Is this going to be a serious drama? Okay,
well, especially Gintama because it's silly.
So...
I know. So if you've ever watched Gintama at all, it's kind of really off the wall, and you're like, what the hell is going on? I don't understand. So seeing as I think within the first 5 minutes you see Kondo naked covered in honey.
Okay.
Whoa. Yeah, it kind of goes to the funny route right off the bat. You're like, okay, so this is definitely Gintama. So it was very... You could tell that it was not a super high budget movie, but it was actually pretty good to the source material. They had a lot of details in there that if you knew what Gintama was, you'd be like, oh, I recognize that person,
Nice.
recognize that person, that character. They had some... Gintama always has like meta references in it, and so there's meta reference, and then there's other property references, and they did actually like bleep out parts of names and words like they do in the show.
Oh, so if you don't know Gintama at all, would it be fun to watch?
I think you would be like very confused at the beginning.
Okay.
But it
But if
does
you're a Gintama
fall,
fan.
yeah, if you're a Gintama fan, you would understand what was going on, and they do go over, I think it's the Benizakura arc, which is pretty early in the show, so it wouldn't be like jumping into a late plot line. It's one of the early serious plot lines.
Yeah.
So it starts with the goofy, so you know that you're watching Gintama, and then they're like, okay, we're going to talk about this really serious plot arc that happens. So I had a lot of fun. It was very low budget, so you're kind of like...
Like squint until it looks better?
Yeah. I mean, to spoil it slightly, when you're walking, they have the opening shot of the city that they all live in. Essentially, it's Tokyo, but aliens have invaded, and a good chunk of the aliens... It was so low budget, they're like, okay, let's take a horse mask, put it on the head.
Oh my god,
that's a horse alien.
So, like that rubber horse.
Yes, I saw that a couple times.
The ones famously shown at conventions.
Yes, I think
wow, that's really meta.
I think there was a giraffe one.
Oh,
and then there was a bunch of other. I mean, there's other aliens where they just were like, let's put little antennas on somebody's head and paint them purple, and then you're like, okay, that's an alien.
Sure,
but yeah, so that was a low. You could be like, okay, I could see what the budget went on this, not to the aliens.
But the movie did okay enough that it garnered a sequel, right? Or a sequel is in the works.
Going to get a sequel,
right?
Yeah.
There will be a sequel.
Isn't out yet.
Nice.
Okay.
Nice.
Cool.
That's good.
That's good.
All right.
Yeah.
The other film that a couple of us watched here was the Studio Ponok film, their like debut film, Mary and the Witch's Flower.
Yeah, which is basically like Ghibli Studio alumni.
Yeah, like
make their own studio.
Former Ghibli peoples.
Yeah.
Banded together and it's kind of like Trigger to Gainax is Ponok. Ponok to
yeah, maybe
Ghibli-ish,
I don't know.
Kind of. Maybe?
There's definitely a direct connection there. Like they're sort of direct descendants of Ghibli, and the style of it felt very Ghibli-ish. And it even it reminded me so much of Arrietty and Howl's Moving Castle because this was also based on a British children's novel.
Right.
Of
Yeah,
course.
the little broomstick, something like that.
Yeah. I think the book is called The Little Broomstick, and it was actually written like long ago, like in the 70s or something, or the late 60s. I don't know. I think
not the matchstick, a broomstick.
Yeah, the little broomstick, not the little matchstick girl, the little broomstick.
Okay.
Yeah, and apparently the author recently passed away. Like she lived into her 90s or something, but she was well known for writing children's books like back decades ago.
And did you get to see the film?
I did not.
Okay, so just me and Kate.
Oh, okay.
What'd you think?
It was okay. It was well animated. I felt like the story didn't have the same kind of impact as a lot of Ghibli's better movies.
Yeah.
But it's kind of unfair because like when you know going into it that it's Ghibli-esque, you sort of have really high expectations of it. So I think if it was just like an anime movie and I didn't know anything about the provenance of the staff behind it, I would have been like, oh yeah, that was pretty good. But I'm like, it doesn't live up to Ghibli.
Yeah. Well, I would say this: it doesn't live up to like some of our favorite Ghibli movies,
Yeah.
but I felt that it was kind of par for like some of the more recent Ghibli.
Yeah, it meets par, like
Yeah.
for sure.
Though,
Like
to be fair,
it was
I
well
did
animated.
not
It was cute.
see what was the one the pilot one that just came out.
The
Porco Rosso?
No, not
No,
that one. The newer
that's
one.
the
Oh,
one.
when the wind.
When the wind
The
rises.
Wind Rises.
Wind
Yeah.
Rises.
Oh yeah,
Thank you.
I saw that.
Yeah, I
one.
did not see that
I
one.
did not see that, so I
Um,
can't rate it to that if it was good or
That
not.
Yeah.
one, that one is pretty, but it's very slow.
Okay.
Yeah, it's very slow and kind of awkward in places.
All right.
It's like,
yeah.
by the way, I'm dying. That's fine.
Pretty much.
Yeah, this was pretty lighthearted.
It was lighthearted, but I'll say this: you think you're getting Harry Potter, and you're not.
Yeah,
with
like
Mary
the way
Elizabeth
it starts out, you totally think that it's going in the Harry Potter direction, and then it really doesn't, which is interesting because it's like the original material was written like decades before Harry Potter, so it was a little
Yeah.
interesting to see this thing that like you assume that it must have all these influences, but really it predates it all.
Yeah.
It's like all the people who think that Lord of the Rings is a Dungeons and Dragons ripoff.
Well, I'd still say it's worth checking out. I'm not sure if it's worth like an insta buy pre-order type thing, but it's
Not for
definitely
me.
it's definitely worth like at least watching.
Yeah, it's worth checking out.
Yeah. Last thing, most of us here, sorry Ed, went to Anime Los Angeles.
Maybe
And,
next year, Ed.
Maybe next year.
It was fun. It was stressful.
It was exhausting.
It was exhausting. It was profitable.
I spent a lot of money.
All of the
Profitable for
above.
some
You
of
what?
us.
Some.
Like,
Spent a lot of money.
oh,
I also
yeah.
spent a lot of money.
Well,
You said you
I made a
spat
lot
on
of money at the
yourself.
swap meet, and then I proceeded to
When?
spend it all. So I was kind of a net. I would call it a net gain because not only did I get rid of some of the things I was trying to sell, but I was able to come back with things that I wanted to own, like
Yes.
from Artist Alley, etc.
Yeah, that Voltron plushie.
Yes, yeah, the Voltron plushies were back, the little cute cat ones. Like,
They look like Mama Shibas.
yeah, I thought
they're
for
the
sure like
bean.
I would never
Yeah,
be able
yeah,
to find
ones,
that
yeah.
booth
The
again. I
beans.
didn't know if they'd gone out of business or something, and then I spotted them, and I was just like, oh, let me buy these.
Yeah.
Gasp.
So we had a panel, and it came out pretty good. I want to thank Ed, if anyone happens to be listening.
Yeah,
to this
yeah.
Candid
For
panel.
everyone
Thank
who came
you
to our
so
Vintage
much
Anime
for
Club
coming.
panel, thank you so much for coming. It
And
was
now
really
you can
cool.
put faces to the voices that you hear all the
Yeah.
time.
Uh-oh,
maybe.
for better or for worse.
Except me, I will be a mystery.
Yeah, it is the man of mystery.
Me
too.
Still are mysterious.
Yeah.
Me and Ed will
Mysterious
be
Ed.
mysterious voices.
Just question
in
marks
the
Oh, yeah.
dark.
them.
Yeah, because Caitlin wasn't on the panel even though she was at the con, but she was too busy running around.
She's
Yeah.
busy.
Yeah.
But we
Important
actually
tasks.
like so
Stop
there
it.
were 6 or 7
There
of
were,
us. I think 6 of us on the panel.
There were 6. We had
Six.
7
We had
chairs.
6.
Ah, okay, yeah. So there were 6 of us on the panel, and actually a good number of people in the room, and people stayed all the way through to the end, even when we were talking about the most terrible stuff that we have watched.
Oh boy.
That's great.
Well, people
I'm
want to
very,
commiserate with
very
that.
Dennis
sorry.
is like,
for,
I picked a dud on purpose.
I did. Everyone should avoid Art of Fighting.
Yeah,
No one should
I
watch
couldn't
it.
say very much about Alita because I'm like I can't spoil too much about the movie.
Oh,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I
because
was
there's
like,
live
okay, I
action
can talk a
coming
little
out.
bit, but
Mm-hmm.
Do you know a lot about the?
She watched it.
movie?
Well, no, well,
I will know. I'm
we don't know if
assuming,
the-
like from the
Oh.
trailers, there's a good chunk of what's in the OVA.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is in the
Yeah.
movie.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yes.
Well, it was a lot of fun. Want to thank everyone coming out. Hope you guys enjoyed the ribbons, and congrats
The
to those
glasses.
who won the glassware. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yes.
think,
Thank you, Han, for sponsoring our
I
glassware giveaways.
I believe
lip
Han's going to
balm.
bring much more glasses next time. I didn't realize how much he wouldn't have had. So
Yeah.
more people might get a whole bunch of stemware, glassware. Hope you like Johnny Walker stuff, you guys.
Yay!
Yay.
Well, we also had the wine carafes,
Yes, the
but
wine
those were
carafes.
less popular. I think people were like, "Oh, here's a glass I can drink out of tonight."
Yep. Take it to my hotel.
Party.
All right. So let's get into what we've been watching. Ed, since you were not able to participate in any of these conversations, why don't you go first?
Sure, I guess mostly the current season stuff that I've been keeping up with. I haven't given up on any show yet.
Oh.
cool.
So that means I'm keeping up with a lot of shows.
Yeah, I have like 8 shows I'm keeping up with. Jesus
Yeah,
Christ.
what is that?
Dang.
So
So
there's
many.
Pop Team Epic, of course.
We're behind
Citrus, Ancient Magus Bride, Record of Grand Crest War,
Darling and Franks.
Darling and the Frankus,
Frankie's. And you have
Violet
Evergarden.
Evergarden.
Oh, right. Oh,
Did
yeah.
that start?
It did.
Started.
Well,
It's
started
on
in
episode
Japan.
4 now.
you have to
Japan.
find alternate sources because Netflix is not making
Right.
it available
Oh,
here
okay.
until the whole thing airs.
Until either spring or summer, and then by the time spring comes around, we'll be like Voltron season 5. You guys, I don't have time for anything else. I'm sorry.
Well, no, Voltron season 5, we're going to
March.
blitz through that in a day. Like, you know it.
Yeah, but
We all know where we're going to be on March
repeated
2nd.
watchings, and now I want to make something for WonderCon and all that. All that.
Yeah.
stuff.
Anyway.
Netflix model,
Yeah. What
Yeah.
else?
which
What else,
I've
Ed?
complained about before.
Miss Koizumi loves ramen.
Miss Koizumi loves ramen. Yes,
You're still watching that one?
I am.
Are you enjoying it?
I am.
Cool.
Anything
I
else?
love. I like these food shows where they kind of sort of teach you about it, but although the problem is they tell you because all of the shops they feature in the show are real in Japan. So you see this show and you're like, oh, see this
Well,
shop. And
but
you go,
the next
oh,
time you go to Japan, like you can just take notes and be like, I'm going to visit here, I'm going to visit there.
yeah,
Like,
a
are
ramen
they
trip?
picking shows or places to feature that are all in Tokyo?
No.
No.
So wait,
don't
how
think
are
so.
they going to all these different places?
Train.
Well, I don't know. Well, I mean, because one episode Koizumi was like, last time I was in Sapporo, I went to this place, and there was like flashback stuff.
Oh,
Yeah,
oh,
yeah.
okay. Because I'm like, she's not like taking a field trip to Sapporo for lunch on a weekday.
No, there was there was one
she
episode.
pretty much did travel to Sapporo
Yeah.
for
Sounds
just for
like
ramen.
she would.
She went. Yeah, she went on a train trip somewhere and then came back. Not being able to study for a test because she was really craving a faraway ramen
Oh,
somewhere.
Jesus.
So yeah,
Okay, whatever.
when food affects your studies, it's bad.
And then 2 more shows have started. They're both Fate related. One is Fate Extra Last Encore, which is by Shaft. It's very bizarre.
And
And
Those are
the
two
other
different things.
is
hold on,
Emiya's. Well, what is the real title? I just call it Emiya Cooking because that's what
I
it is.
call it Fate. Please stay for dinner.
It is.
It's like-
it
Fate
is
stay for dinner.
Oh shoot! It's like
oh,
It's-
the cooking with the Emiya
I
family
mean,
or
it's
something.
Yeah.
Emiya Sanchi
It's
no
like that.
Gohan. No,
It's
Kyo
like-
no Gohan is
it's
the.
like cooked time with Emiya.
No,
with
it's like
Emiya
today's
family.
menu at the Emiya.
Yes,
Yeah,
yeah, that
today's
sounds
menu
like
at-
that sounds
Yeah.
like the right translation.
So that's much less dramatic and serious and more
we watched
slice
that.
of life-y.
The animation
watched
style was
2
very
episodes.
cute. It's kind of
very cutesy.
Okay, on Crunchyroll, it's
watercolory-
called Today's Menu for the Emiya
Yeah,
family.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Yeah, we watched it with a friend who was like, "Oh, I like cooking shows. Oh, I want to watch this." And then when we told her it's Fate related, she's like, "Fuck."
Yeah, she's like, I don't watch anything Fate. I don't want to get
because
into
of,
this.
fellow member of the club, Diana. She's like, I don't want to get into Fate because Diana's too intense about her Fate fandom.
Yeah.
Well, so the second episode is like mostly about Lancer. So
Yeah.
it's kind of going to be this. If they keep up with this pattern where they like pick a different character each episode, and
That's
kind
what
of,
it seems like it's going to be.
kind of feature them in a
Yeah.
more cutesy
Yeah,
environment.
that
than
would be
the
cute
regular
to see.
Fate. So
I
that'd
wonder
be cool.
if each character that they feature is going to have their own sort of weirdly character appropriate like part-time job.
Yeah. Are you going to talk about Frankius or Grandcrest at all, Dennis? Because I got to
I'll be-
complain about this.
Sure, I'll be talking about Grand Crest if Kate wants to talk about Frankie's.
Oh,
So,
yeah. Well, we caught up on Darling in the
let's
Frankas.
let-
But
let's go
okay,
on first.
yeah.
Garrett.
We'll get to that later.
Garrett, how about you? Because, yeah, you
guys
get
trying
to
to save
talk
the
about
best
the
for
other
last.
movies and stuff. Go ahead.
Well, I want to start off by saying that I had a nice, lovely surprise when I finally got back to my Crunchyroll after ALA, which was I found out I was hacked.
No.
Yeah, so like I went on Crunchyroll and I went to my queue and I'm like, what are these shows? I've never watched this. One of it was Citrus, but I haven't watched it
Yeah.
yet. One of it was some weird show I never heard of, and some other shows I'm just like, this is weird. So I had to go on like through the forums and try to figure out like if this has happened to people before, and they're like, yeah, you've been hacked.
Boom.
Change your password and deactivate any device that you do not recognize. Which when I went to that page, there was a lot of devices I did
Oh
not.
no, they probably like shared your password to a whole bunch of people.
But that's the thing. I've never done that.
No, I mean
no,
like
no.
whoever hacked
Oh,
you
yeah,
got
yeah,
your
no,
password
yeah.
and shared it to a bunch of people.
Right. That's what it seemed. But I don't know, someone fucked up for those other people because apparently a lot of devices have had my Crunchyroll, and I never noticed until they decided to change up all my shit. So
Oops.
a lot of people just got cut off.
Maybe we should check that page.
Yeah, maybe we should. I mean, I know that there's a few people who are helping me out with Crunchyroll
I
viewing.
don't have a
But,
subscription.
Yeah, so one there are two main things I want to talk about. Of course, like there's the normal shows, the ongoing Dragon Ball Super about to end, super sad.
Yeah.
But one I want to talk about, which actually watched and read a few weeks ago, was Devilman Crybaby.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Which I
You
watched.
watched it now.
I watched it and I read it. The manga is a lot better than the anime. But that's not saying too much.
You're just like
I know,
scratching your forehead in
Yeah.
frustration here.
Like if you could see me, you could see like the throbbing vein of frustration. I mean, like in the manga, what I actually liked about it was the fact that
Wait, did you read the original manga or
I read the original
2012
manga.
one?
No,
Okay.
the original manga.
Okay.
70s one. 60s, 70s.
70s.
I think like the
think
end of
it's
60s, beginning of 70s.
Okay.
it's old.
Which the main character in the manga is a lot less, for a lack of a better term, crybaby about all the shit that's going around him. Which
Yeah,
actually
they
kind of
they added that part for the new stuff.
I was so pissed off at that. I mean, there's that, and then the
To be fair, it is just called Devilman. So.
right,
Yeah.
the his best friend in the manga is an actual human being, I guess. Whereas he has like feelings and like he's not trying to fuck over everybody. He's actually trying to save people until like the big twist happens, and then it makes a lot more sense of like his motives toward everything. But I mean, it's still pretty garbage. I honestly feel like it's one of those animes where it's really just like, oh, it's so edgy. Look, they have sex and nudity and gore
Yes.
and pseudo rape that you can argue about. Whatever.
Have they not seen Ninja Scroll?
Probably not.
or Wicked City?
Not in
The people I have
early
been,
70s.
Those shows are old.
the people I've been seeing like praising this anime are like younger than me.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
I highly doubt they've seen Ninja
Yeah,
Scroll.
it's a slightly younger generations watching.
Yeah.
Because, like, at
And
least
this
with,
is on Netflix.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
on
Yes.
Netflix.
At least
Yeah.
with like, well, Ninja Scroll has also been on Netflix too. But I'm just mean like, at least with something like that, like the animation, like you could see, it was like, holy shit, like this thing is so beautifully done. I just don't like these scenes or that scene or that scene, and that scene is definitely not supposed to be there. But whatever, because it's edgy. I don't
Yeah.
care.
Well, I feel like Ninja Scroll is like you're just like cringing through the whole thing. You're like, it's so pretty, but
Yeah.
and like
Yeah.
Devilman Crybaby, you're kind of like, okay, cool, I can watch this. Oh wow, that's intense, but you're not like, So
Like, there's not
speak
much
for
of a
yourself.
reason for it to be as intense
I mean,
as
you
it
still
is.
had the reactions, but
It's
it
just like-
wasn't just like I can't stand this at
It,
all.
it feels very much like, oh, that was to get a reaction, not like,
Yeah.
oh, this serves the story.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean,
Gratuitous.
there's that. And the reason why I brought that up is because there was a manga I recently read called Inuyashiki.
Okay.
Oh yeah, that just became an anime, I think.
Yes, the anime just started. I think it's already over because it's short. But it's on the Amazon anime, whatever they're calling it right
Just
now.
Amazon Prime. Just
Yeah,
Prime.
Cool.
Yeah.
But I read it, and so the story is about this 52-year-old guy who looks like he's 85. And
Because
there's
if you're older than
No, he's like
25,
people.
you're
You're an old
ancient.
guy.
No. Like people actually point this out that he looks way younger than he should.
Or you look way older than
he
way older
should?
than he should.
He look. Yeah, I'm sorry. He looks way older than he should.
Okay.
He's like this really old, shaky guy. His life is just awful. It's like he's a salaryman. He makes a living trying to provide for his family. He buys them a new house and like, oh, awesome, a new house. It's super small, super cramped next to this big house, and they're like, oh, well, I mean, whatever, Dad. fuck you, go it.
Nail house.
No, like really, like there's that. He buys them a dog and they're super excited, and then they see the dog and it's not a puppy, and they're like, oh well, we don't want that dog.
Boo.
They're not.
Save
Ungrateful.
the adopted dog.
Yeah, so the family is very much like they're not abusing him or anything. They're just assholes. And he finds out that he has like 3rd stage cancer. He has like months to live, and he can't even like tell them because when he tries to, they're just like, "Oh, I got all this going on in my life. Make sure you wash that dog. He stinks. He stays in your room. He does sleep in a different room from his wife." He's distraught at this point. Like he goes to a park, he doesn't know what to do or how to tell his family, and he's actually scared he's gonna die. And then a meteor hits him and he dies.
What?
Yeah, that is chapter 1. So it's not a spoiler. Because this is part of the plot. So the meteor turns out to
because
be
it's connected to Devilman here. We got like
I'm about to tell you why.
There's a twist.
Meteor.
The meteor turns out to be a crash landed alien.
Kryptonite. Okay.
And they realize that they accidentally killed a human being. They actually killed 2, and they're like, "Fuck! Well, why don't we just rebuild him and send him on his way?" So they do that. So he finds out that he's android,
Okay.
cyborg.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he's a robot
Yes.
man.
So the story is about him kind of coming to terms with the fact that he's no longer human and deciding what he's going to do to
gonna
prove
become-
that he is human, which is save a whole bunch of people.
He's going to become Genos in One Punch Man. Okay.
No, because he's an old guy. But the reason why I bring this up and I relate it to Devilman Crybaby is that the themes of like humanity and what it means to be human are so much better in this manga. And I really want to want to watch the anime now because I want to see how that translates.
Yeah.
Because I'm a little worried because it's short. It's like 11 episodes, I think, and the manga was
Okay.
85.
Guess you better ask family to chip in on that Amazon Prime subscription.
Right? Yeah,
It's just share it with 5 people.
It's a lot better told story in that aspect. So I want to see that. And then like the flip side is there was a kid who also died. He was in the park at the same time, and he turns out to be a psychopath. But it's not like I'm evil. Look at me. Ooh. He actually seems like a legitimate clinical psychopath where he just doesn't understand that. Why can't he kill people? And he more goes towards I'm not human anymore. So
fuck
whatever.
it.
So it's really like those two, like how they live their lives, and when it finally comes to a head, how they react to each other. It's a really nice, well-toned story. It is pretty violent.
Cyborg baby boomer versus cyborg millennial. Got it. Okay.
Yeah, you're not wrong. It's pretty violent. Like the kid who kills a bunch of people, he literally just points his finger at them and shouts "bang," and they die.
Whoa.
By getting their head exploded.
Whoa.
It's not as violent as Devilman, but again, it's just told a lot better, and I really enjoyed it. So I would recommend checking that out, both the anime and the manga.
Okay.
Those are my 2 main things.
Caitlin, have you gotten to watch or enjoy anything with all of your hectic
made a face.
anime Los
She made
Angeles
a
schedule?
No, I did. I mean, I did also between the vast span of time last time I was on the podcast. And now I also watched Devilman Crybaby, and I'm sure everybody can guess my opinion on that.
She's glowing. She must have loved it.
You just hear the disdain dripping in her voice.
My roommate and I watched this, and I'll just say at the very end, the last shot where it's got the planet and it says Finn at the end, my roommate lost his shit at that moment. At the very end, he's like,
really?
"Don't fucking tell me that this was some kind of art film." Like, couldn't you
like,
tell?
"Oh,
That
Japan."
was the thing that ticked him off at the very end. And I thought, yeah, I can see that.
I forgot one more show that maybe both you and Ed are watching. Cardcaptor Sakura?
Oh yeah.
Are you watching the new one, Clear Card?
Clear Card.
I haven't started it yet.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Well, now that convention is
Now that
done,
you have time.
Yes.
do it.
Yeah,
I mean, I
might
also,
cleanse the palate of
Super
Devilman
cute.
Crybaby.
Yes. I mean, I also binged Recovery of an MMO Addict. Courtesy of Kate and Dennis. They got me started and I finished it. But, it's 11 episodes, so it was a pretty quick
it goes pretty
binge.
fast.
But, as somebody who grew up on a Final Fantasy 11 server.
Oh, you youngin'.
Wow.
You're the judge.
Okay,
yeah. Ultima Online and Ragnarok Online. All right.
Blah, blah,
I grew up playing Muds. Thank you very much. Blam.
Ultima.
So
Drop the mic.
that brought back a lot of like fond memories of hanging out with my
You and your graphics.
Link shell. Oh, shut up. Shut up. I'm getting deep here.
Shut up, old man, Dennis.
Yeah, so I really enjoyed that one. And I'm also still watching Welcome to the Ballroom for some reason.
I still need to just like marathon
You
the
sound
end and
mystified.
just be like, just
Why?
finish it.
Because you like the lankiness of all the
Just be
characters.
done with it. Like, I'll come over,
Like-
we'll drink some wine, and then laugh at their
I've got another
weird
like 12
bird necks.
episodes to do on this, and like
Wow.
I slogged through the first like half of the season, and I was like, I'm really not sure if I like the way everything is drawn or not. It has some serious pacing issues. Like I just want to jump off a cliff at this
That's
point.
the nice thing about anime. You can always stop in a show.
Yeah, it's
there
true.
Are
Yeah, you don't
much-
have to finish
I
it.
have to
wanted to
waste
see
your
how
time.
this, because there's one competition in the first half of the thing, so I wanted to see how that played out. But I guess it's because they didn't like explain how this would go down.
Mm-hmm.
So there was just endless dancing happening, and I'm like, what? Finals, semifinals, where the fuck are we? I need, like, at least with Haikyuu, it's like best out of 5 wins.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like, well, now we're doing this, and now it's this, and this is a special rule for this, and I'm like, I don't even know what's going on.
Oh,
So-
let's just watch Strictly Ballroom
Oh, that's fair.
because I think that would be more enjoyable.
You should read
Potentially.
You should read Straighten Up, which is a Shonen Jump version of the ballroom.
Yeah, it is a
Yeah.
manga also about ballroom dancing.
I mean,
They explain things much clearer. How about that?
Yeah, I'm sure that it's better. And there were some like weird moments in this. I was like, what year is this right now?
Well, I think the ballroom dancing world like is still pretty stuck in the past.
Yeah, I guess so. But like, there was like fan service stuff that happened, and I'm like, are you trying to sell this show to men? Like, what is this?
Like
We need more men in this. Show some tits and
trying to
ass.
broaden our horizons here.
Some chick shows up in basically like a bra and a shirt that doesn't cover the bra, and I'm like, wait, who is this show made for? I don't know what we're doing.
To be fair, a lot of dance outfits are ridiculous.
No, but she's a judge.
Oh, well,
Why is this?
she's in the culture of it. I don't know.
I don't even
I'm making
know.
excuses.
Karen's like,
I haven't even watched
She's
it.
like badass dancer's mom, and shows up
Oh, wow.
in a bra, and I'm
Oh,
like,
yeah.
okay, like if she was in a costume, that's one thing.
If she
but
was actually competing,
no, she's standing off on the side judging people.
I think that's as
People
far
are
as I
trying
got.
to grab
'cause
her, and
I remember her showing up.
backstage, and I'm like, what is happening? I don't-
wow.
I remember
So
her
maybe I
showing
need
up.
to just
That's as far as I
switch
got.
over to Cardcaptor Sakura.
Do that.
Yeah.
Make yourself
do it.
happy.
Or if you're gonna watch something on Amazon, join me in watching Made in Abyss. That's what I wanted to watch.
Okay.
Which
I'm-
looks very cutesy.
Yeah, but I
That's
think turns
fair.
dark.
I mean,
So-
at this point.
Well, the
and I
character
also need to
designs
go
are
back to Idolish 7.
Oh God.
I know
Oh,
you don't
fuck.
like it, but you know what?
it's Caitlin's jam.
Oh no.
Stop judging me.
Caitlin's jam and Kate's disdain.
Oh.
Look, I won't make you sit and watch it with me.
Okay,
I'll
good.
just sit in my apartment in the dark and watch it.
Covered up, just the head peeking out of the covers. Like, okay,
Caitlin's
Yeah.
shame.
I mean, it's only in the dark because my blinds are right behind my TV, but
All right.
There was one thing I wanted to mention super quick about Inuyashiki, just because it relates to something Kate said a podcast or 2 podcasts ago. The manga started in 2014 and it ended in 2017. So there's something that goes on in the background of the story that they mention, and when they talk about it, they mention Obama. When it comes back later, because of the time passage in real world time, it's Trump that is there, and they actually like put him in there to like make a remark about something, and he was talking. I'm like, oh wow, maybe Japan hasn't gotten like all the stuff that he's done and said and acted on, because this is very tame. I kind of wish this was our Trump. Oh, there he is. That's the Trump we all know and despise.
I guess
like
that
Devil
looks
May
like
Cry
Japan
Baby
has been
with
on it.
the-
Yes, back to Devil
was
May
like,
Cry Baby when they showed
Trump
him in it.
just showed up in this. What's going on?
I really like half the time I'm like, is this FLCL or is this supposed to be serious? What is going on?
Karen, what have you been watching? If anything.
Well, Gintama movie.
Don't talk about that. You already did.
I know. I watched all of Recreators.
Oh,
yeah.
because it's now on Amazon.
That's on Amazon. For some reason, I just was like, okay, I'll just open up Amazon. I think I was looking at something else, and then I was like, Amazon Video. I wonder if I can't easily find anything on here.
No, it is difficult. You literally have to search for it and then find it.
It kind of was like, because I watched whatever the last thing I watched on Prime, but or on Strike, and then suddenly, I watched the Land of the Lustrous or whatever, and then it was like, if you like this, you would like this, and that's literally like the only animes that would like pop up, so I couldn't find anything. So I was like, okay, someone mentioned Recreators at one point, maybe I'll watch that. Okay, I'll watch that. So that one wasn't super deep, but it was just it's a little lighthearted thing, so it wasn't too bad.
Good. Sometimes you need that.
It wasn't very hardcore, and I kind of was like, okay, your logic is a little iffy here a little bit, because essentially it's like anime, video games, and manga characters get brought to the quote unquote real world, the anime game real world or whatever. So
I watched it when the season was out. That was the one I mentioned where like you have like the fantasy knight person and then like a mecha pilot person, and they all come into the real world.
Gruff detective dude and
So is it like comedy ensues or drama ensues?
It's action. It's mostly action.
So is it sort of like Fate, except they're like character archetypes, like pop culture archetypes?
I mean, sort of. I mean, they didn't have to fight. Yeah, they didn't have to fight each other. That was just because.
Well, there was one villain who's trying to destroy the world, of course. Okay. So like a bunch of others are teaming up against her.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then they meet their creators, the person that made the anime or the manga or whatever. So.
Yeah, so I thought the coolest part about the show was like the commentary on the process of creating media, not so much the action stuff or the backstory or anything.
Oh, interesting. That's cool that a show that is ostensibly an action show would have that kind of commentary then.
Yeah, because you have like the creators agonizing over what to do with their characters and like, it's so popular now, I don't know what kind of plot twists I need to do.
Yeah.
And then the characters come out as like, why did you make my life so shitty?
Yeah.
Right? Because then they say, well, if you had a good life, it wouldn't make a good show, stuff like that.
All right. So, guys, we're going long. Is there anything else, Karen, that you have watched? Because we're going long and we haven't talked about the intro for the show yet.
That's about all I've watched. I watched the first episode of Junie Tyson, and that's it.
Okay.
That's all I watched.
Kate and Ed talk about Darling in Frankie's.
We watched, I think, episodes 2 and 3 back to back, and... The first episode, it's getting you into the world, so I can kind of see why they don't spring some of the really ridiculous shit on you.
Yeah.
You can suspect, and then like the next 2 episodes, it's like, oh, look, you need 2 pilots for this mecha thing, except like they got to do each other doggy style, and there's so much like sexual imagery or like references.
Yeah, basically, and, like, Garrett gave us this glance you can't see in the podcast. The female pilot has to basically pilot the mecha similar in a way how Diva sits in
She gets
her
on
mech.
all fours.
Yeah, she gets on all fours, and the dude stands behind her, and like some handles come out of her butt, and he like grabs onto the handles and pilots the mecha that way.
And the girls moan when they connect.
Recreators, that one girl had, she was in that position too.
Yeah, no, it's just like, what the fuck are they trying to do here?
Yeah, it's not the first show, of course, that's like used mecha piloting as teen sex imagery, right?
Yeah.
But this is the most
it's so
unsubtle.
Blatant. Yeah, it's super blatant, and I don't find it interesting.
And
Wait, so is this an anime or is this a porn parody of Pacific Rim?
No. Yeah, it's kind of like they saw Pacific Rim and it was like, oh, that's inspiring. Let's toss in a bunch of terminology about like various parts of flowers, and then have these 2 pilots kind of get in sexual positions with each other. And then this main chick who like can pilot with anyone she picks. So she picks like this random dude who's like a dropout. She appears to be some kind of succubus because she's got horns and she's super sexy.
And she's
And
part
she
monster.
kills you if you
Yeah, she
co-pilot
kills
with
you
her.
if you pilot with her. Except she didn't kill this dude because he's
like a
special.
Black
Because he's
Widow.
special.
And
Yeah.
once they drop like that, all that stuff in 2 and 3, it was like, okay, so this is about a bunch of teenagers who are like, oh, I can do it better than you can do it, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
This is
yeah.
like-
It's so
boring.
stupid, and I was like
So there's not
expecting
just
better.
that. There's also a dick measuring contest. In
Yes.
there?
Yeah.
because these are all like 14-year-old kids, right?
Oh
so
my
that's
God.
all they talk
And
about.
they're
if they pilot with her,
still there
they'd
because
be
they're
done.
like the cream of the crop. So it's like
It's great.
It's like they keep. It's almost like Men in Black-ish in a way, where they progress through various levels of competence, and they're getting to the point where like, all right, well, you guys might be the chosen people to defend this town and pilot these mechs.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, I'm the best. I'm the best. I'm better than you. No, I'm better than you. And like, so someone else is actually leader, and we're like,
Get the yardstick
oh, you know
out.
what? If I beat you in this mock sparring contest, maybe I'll be leader. Haha. You know. It's,
Yeah.
So with the world building they do, they don't actually know what sex is.
Yeah.
Because they don't even know what a kiss.
They don't know what
is,
kissing
right?
is. They don't know anything besides
so
how
they're
to pilot
just talking
these
about
guys.
we can what do
Yeah,
they call it? Like
it's-
we can union the best or something
Yeah,
like that.
it was weird because it's this explicitly sexual terminology and like positions and whatever, but they establish that these characters don't know anything about sex, so it's only for the benefit of the audience that they even have it structured this way.
Yeah.
It's like this was an intentional choice, and it's just and. Like Dennis was like, I don't even like the mecha designs because they have faces and eyes, and it's not a mecha anymore.
Yeah, when you see the mecha, walking in hallways, it looked like they're just like robots
Walking in a hallway?
Yeah, they look like normal. Yeah, they're like walking down this hallway, and it's like a giant robot-sized hallway. So you lose the whole
Yeah.
sense of scale.
Yeah, exactly. You lose a sense of scale with how big they're supposed to be, and because you see like faces,
I'm just
eyes, and moving
picturing
mouth.
a strolling robot like
okay,
popping its
I
hips.
know
and I'm
that
just
Literally.
Gundam have eyes, and there's a place for their mouth. Gurren Lagann, you can actually see the eyes move, the mouth moves and stuff too. Sure, I'm okay with that. But the fact that they have pupils in their eyes makes it
Yeah.
extra weird
No,
to
they
me.
they have like cutesy faces. They have like
Yeah.
anime faces, and like
And-
one of them has pigtails,
and for some reason,
like metal robot pigtails.
when the female pilot talks, the mecha talks, but when the male pilot talks, it's just like loudspeaker.
Right,
It's-
Yeah.
and the faces only appear when they do their union thing.
Yeah.
yeah,
It's weird. Bizarre.
That's weird.
it's just like, come on, Trigger. I expected more from you.
Yeah, I don't know how I
Like,
feel
get your
about
shit
the show.
together.
So now Ed and I will talk about Grand Crest because I still don't know if I like this show or
Did
not.
you see the latest one?
Yeah,
with
I'm
the
on. I
werewolves?
did. No, I didn't. I'm on 4. I'm on 4. That one just came out.
Yeah.
So they are blitzing through so much
They
of this plot.
Blitzing through stuff.
And it felt very similar to when I watched Knights and Magic. There's a lot of really good political intrigue. I really like a lot of the characters. I don't like some of the character designs. That like super strong spear like warrior woman. Yeah. She's fucking badass.
Yeah.
It's great.
Well, when you see this week's episode, you're like, oh, now there's even more characters that they just dropped out of
Jesus.
nowhere.
Okay.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, it's weird because they want to build this guy up and then he gets brought back down again and they don't know where allies and stuff are going to come from. I don't know how his party is going to get formed, but so far we know that he has a sorceress, a cleric, and some like dropout sorceress Wonder Woman type person, you know, like
Okay.
she's like an Amazonian like badass.
Don't she like a ranger or something? A rogue? Like
not really rogue. She fights with a spear.
The sorceress has like a rogue guy with her.
yeah,
Okay.
the rogue guy.
So by
And
proxy, he's with
them too. So
with
yeah.
them.
Well, I think they have to find their mascot now, don't they? Like, isn't this how this usually goes?
Maybe it's a cleric because the
Giant
cleric
cat.
Maybe
cleric
it's
has-
a werewolf.
Maybe the cleric does have ties to like old Lodos stuff. So it's like, oh shit! So
Please
this is how they're
save my
going to
Earth
do that.
cat.
Yeah, that's why I said
Giant
it.
cat.
Yep.
All right.
I just don't understand
It makes
why.
everything
Because
better.
all of these people can like single-handedly take out 50 knights or whatever.
Yeah.
And why are they following this one generic
Because
dude?
he has spunk.
Because
and
it's fucking anime.
Yes, exactly. There's no other reason for it.
Yeah, it's like this is why we get all these like super milquetoast wishy-washy
Like
protagonists
Yeah.
because
15 or 16-year-old boys.
yeah,
that
he's
can't
got
do it.
Japan is
moxie.
obsessed with having normal people be in charge of teams of badasses.
He's got moxie. I guess I don't know.
Like now, this wine is making me angry.
Well, it is.
It is complicated.
We'll talk about it at the end. All right. So what brings us here today?
Galaxy
We are
Express
going
39.
over-
I'm also kind of angry about this.
39.
39.
Not 999.
So it's
Not
not
999.
39.
I never knew that it was called Galaxy Express 39 because looking at the title, you would think it would be called Galaxy Express 999.
Yes, that would be
There is no 3 on that box.
Yeah, for real.
because that
But
would
it's
make the most
39.
sense.
39.
All right. So I think I'm the only one who has seen this before. I don't think anyone else here has seen this.
So when you saw it the first time, did it make sense?
I saw it when I was like super young. This was back in when Sci-Fi Channel was spelled out Sci-Fi, not Sci-Fi. And actually said channel and still had that like Saturn ring, logo thing. It was during their like whole their old anime weekends. I saw this there. I think the same weekend I watched Green Legend Ron and Eerie Zero on the animation. So I was like, whoa. They also aired the sequel Adieu Galaxy Express 39 like the next day.
Does that one make more sense?
I don't remember that one. It all was kind of a blur. Because it was so far long ago, I do remember being like mesmerized by all the vignettes and the stuff, and then rewatching them like,
what?
Okay, this is definitely 70s anime. This is old anime, but it is also like old and classic, like design wise and stuff too, because there's a bunch more mythos and stuff to this. So,
well, it's interesting because a lot of aspects of this movie are taken from apparently what was a hugely popular TV show
and manga,
and
series.
So this was sort of like a best of various scenes from that.
So let me go over that info. So this was released back in August 4th. 1979. This is probably the oldest anime title I own.
It's probably the oldest we've watched.
Yeah, so far. We got to start getting into like Kimba the White Lion or something if you want some older ones. It's a remake of apparently the first year of the best episodes of the TV series that shares the same name. Apparently way back in 82, or actually in 1980, Roger Corman got the license to show this in America, and then in 82, partnering with Harmony Gold, the people who are holding the Macross license at ransom as hostages. They did a cut that basically cut out 30 more minutes of the film for American audiences.
It's a very long movie, though.
It is. It is super long. It's over 2 hours.
Running.
So much
running.
They could have cut down on that running.
The one that we saw
by a lot.
and the one that aired on Sci-Fi is the Viz licensed one that one was done in 96. So that's when, it's around the time that I watched it on Sci-Fi. And
did you watch it dubbed on Sci-Fi?
I watched it dubbed. Yeah. Sci-Fi. They don't. I don't think they aired anything subbed.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And this the current license is now under Discotech and Eastern Star, I believe.
Discotech.
And this was
that's fitting.
Yeah.
It's from the 70s.
Nice. So this was based on the manga by famed manga creator Leiji Matsumoto.
If you've ever seen those Daft Punk anime music videos, he's the character designer of those.
Nice.
He also did like manga that spawned TV shows for Captain Harlock or Space Pirate Captain Harlock, Queen Emeraldus, along with Space Battleship Yamato as well.
Are all the same world.
All in the same kind of shared universe. I don't know if Yamato... Well, doesn't Harlock appear in Yamato sometimes?
Maybe. I feel like there's a lot of crossover, even if the storylines are mostly separate, because some of those people definitely make a cameo in this.
Right. So this was directed by Rintaro, who was also director for Adieu Galaxy Express 39, also the TV series Kimba the White Lion, at least the first year. Did the Captain Harlock movie and TV series, and other more recent stuff. He has directed Metropolis and X 1999 as well.
Dang.
And this was all done by Toei Animation. And oh boy, let me tell you, you can definitely tell it was Toei, guys.
By which you mean that...
We'll talk about that for the discussion. So you guys ready?
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Let's pour the rest of that wine.
I'm leaving, I'm flying, I'm taking after the unknown. I got a Saga soon, I'm taking
Galaxy Express 39 is the name of a train which travels through space, beginning at Megalopolis Station on one end of the galaxy and terminating at Andromeda on the other. But the Galaxy Express is more than just a train. It's also a metaphor for life itself. I don't know if you can feel my eye rolls on
so
this.
So deep.
With passengers constantly boarding, debarking,
Disembarking?
Yeah, I think it meant disembarking. It says debarking and dreaming along the way. Someone look up debarking.
We're here.
No, I think that's when you like cut your dog's vocal cords.
Aww. Tetsuro Hoshino is a youth who will give anything to board the 3-9. Oh, they actually write out 3-9 on here, for that line at least.
Wow.
Including a promise to accompany a mysterious woman named Maytel all the way to Andromeda, the planet where, she tells him, he can get a free machine body to avenge the cruel death of his mother at the hands of the villainous Count Mecha. But nothing is as easy as it sounds, and Tetsuro is about to learn the true price, not only for boarding 3-9 and avenging his mother, but for leaving his childhood behind, falling in love, and becoming a man.
Oh god, it just makes it sound.
By the way, Google says that debark is in fact a verb.
Oh,
Okay, all right.
For
The same
getting off
thing.
trains?
It's
Yeah,
Getting-
for aircraft.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Cool.
Yes.
Yeah. Wow.
Verb, gerund or present participle, debarking, leave a ship or aircraft.
Okay. Well,
Even though it's a train, it is
Even-
technically a ship.
yeah.
I
we,
guess.
we will give that back to them. We
Yes.
apologize.
I apologize, writer, for
We will
Discriminate in front of
not
that.
apologize for anything else you said.
Yeah. Admittedly, that description captures the sappiness of the premise, which is like, oh, it's so meaningful. It's a train.
It is.
There was a really long intro that was like discussing like I literally zoned out and I was like, I actually didn't read those words. All I caught was humanity and destiny, and they were like, that's all you need to know. I'm like, okay.
I tell you, it's so meaningful.
see,
It's a train.
The funny thing is, like, they talk about all that, and then all of a sudden the train comes in the opening shot, and then the narrator talks. I'm like, where were you with those words, narrator? That would have helped so much instead
Yeah.
of me just watching this.
And for all this shit that they talk about destiny and being on trains and passengers embarking and debarking and whatever the heck, we spend shockingly little time on this train
and
with
we
other
never
passengers.
See, yeah, there's like hardly any other passengers.
Well, to be fair, like I said, this is a retelling of like 50 episode TV series,
Yeah,
or
so
at least
maybe
the
they
first year of the TV series.
Cut off all of
done
the
this way.
little bits where like they help
had-
somebody on the
They had
train.
a cabin to themselves the entire time.
Yeah.
Well, and like they go to the
Because-
dining car, they're the only people in there except
No,
for like the
there's a
staff.
few people in the
Yeah.
dining car. However,
Because
they all
Maytel-
disappeared when the lights went.
Maytel is a fucking baller, and she bought out the whole cabin,
Yeah,
caboose, whatever.
and Tetsuro doesn't
whole car.
notice.
Did.
He's like, "Oh, it's really empty on this train, huh?" And she's like, don't worry about it."
oh God.
I'm suddenly thinking of Murder on the Orient Express.
Yeah, that's
Just
fair.
with less
That would have been
mustaches.
so cool in space.
Yeah, that would have been way
Yeah,
cooler.
Murder on the Space
Murder on the
Orient
Space
Express.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Murder
you
on
really
the
can't get off
Galaxy
the
Express.
train.
Yeah. And
Although
yeah,
they
I'm sure
they
that-
totally shoot through a window at one point and don't get sucked out into
They
the
open a
space.
door at one point.
Yeah.
they take off with a window open and a child hanging out of it.
Technically, you guys, there is a murder on the Galaxy Express 39 at the end, which we will get to.
That's true.
This is true. Okay, yeah.
All right.
There's no Perot.
Fair.
No,
So
no one has
Yeah,
baller
there's no
facial
detective.
hair.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
The
no, there are
murderer-
some people with baller facial hair, but they're not
Not
detectives.
not on the train.
Oh, that's
not
true.
on the train. The
That's what
murderer
I'm
was
talking
Caitlin
about.
for killing the guy whose fucking sash wouldn't stay up the entire time.
Oh yeah,
Seriously.
Caitlin is like
Seriously.
this conductor has to be fired. Like he's so like
Okay, okay.
slobbish.
Look. All I'm saying is a safety pin would have saved my sanity.
That's true. Yeah, he has
space
this.
safety
The
pin.
conductor
There's no
has this
safety
armband
pin.
that keeps
Space.
slipping
make
down
sure it fits him
and
before
driving
he
Caitlin mad.
uses it.
Well, look,
Yeah.
like if you're representing an institution,
Yeah, especially in Japan, right?
It's it's high class. It's
Yeah,
like,
no, it's like this is a fancy
expensive
ass
to get
train,
there. Yeah.
and this is Japanese culture. Like this dude better look
also
shipshape.
you'd think that this
Japanese
dude would
culture
lose
does
his
love
goddamn
trains.
mind doing nothing but pulling up his armband all day.
Yeah.
What if he
He's really
lost
pretty
the
useless.
safety pin, Caitlin, and he couldn't
Well, I feel like-
disembark of those many days on other planets to find one?
I feel like he's also kind of like a mysterious smoky blob wearing a uniform, so he could probably
Yeah.
fill out that arm a little better so it wouldn't fall off.
it's not like he's piloting the train at all. It's all automated, so he
That's
just
true.
walks up and down.
he kind of just like hits the button. I feel like he just hits a button that says "ready."
It's like, okay, let's
set,
go.
go.
The button literally says space train.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go.
And train, go.
Ready, set, train.
All right. So,
Yeah.
do you want to go over some parts of the plot because
It's so complicated, though.
it,
like,
it-
oh
it
god.
kind of is very.
Broad
So-
story.
Yeah.
You can boil it down to
Kid wants
It's
a robot
yeah.
body.
Kid grows
wants a
up.
robot
Kid meets
body.
his mother several times over.
Kid wants robot body for revenge. That's
Okay,
like the
yeah.
basic
Yeah.
premise.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Kid
For,
thinks
like,
that he will
half
get
the movie.
revenge if he goes and
I'd
gets a
say
robot
like
body.
3/4
Well,
of
and
the
then
movie.
he kind of grows out of the revenge part after he gets his revenge, and it's like the movie continues.
Yeah.
After that,
I
he's
was
like,
like,
oh,
yeah,
I guess.
I
we
really
done?
thought that was the ending. It's
Yeah.
like, nope.
Yep.
I got
Guess
more shit
not.
to
There's
say.
more.
Guess not.
Yeah.
So we're
Yeah.
introduced to Tetsuro, who
Hence we were like, Tetsuo.
yeah, Tetsuro, no Kanedon for this one, who's like a Dickensian street urchin in space.
Oh yeah. Well,
I guess.
we first meet him like he's.
Space Latin.
We see early on like he and his mother were trying to.
That comes later. Like this
Escape
is
to the city.
he tries
yeah.
to steal
No, he does steal.
yeah.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
successfully steals someone's very expensive train ticket.
Yeah, like an all access pass to all trains, including the 39. And this chick pays with the fattest stack of cash I've
Yeah,
seen
know,
in
right?
an anime.
She just, like, rolls
that
all
was,
these bills
that
into
was
a
not in a
machine.
briefcase.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm just like,
Pulled it out, and you're like, what?
Yeah.
What?
The
That's
future, you
Japan
can
for you.
buy, you can use computers to buy train tickets, but you apparently still have to pay with
Still
paper.
need-
That's
Yeah.
Japan.
There was only like 6 buttons on the
Like,
computer,
admittedly,
too.
1979 was way before Suica cards had been invented, so people were still paying for all of this stuff with cash.
I want to say in the dub they did change that to say like, will you pay in cash or like chip or something
Credit.
like that
Oh,
or
okay.
credits?
They should have just put the Ballin' song behind her when she pulled it out. Ballin'.
We should make a gif of that.
I just want to go on a train ride, you guys.
Yeah, I actually feel kind of sorry for
1
her. She's
billion
like, oh,
yen for a
my
train ride.
my life savings for this train pass.
I know, and it just gets stolen easily by this youth and his band of
Miscreants.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, they actually
thieving
have a
children
pretty
buddies.
ingenious plan where like they keep passing off the train pass to each other, so they
Yeah, it's like
they
keep
don't get
away
caught.
with football.
Yeah.
yeah,
I have fallen victim
but
to
with
keep away
children
back as a
versus
child.
robots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Robot, the worst robot cops ever.
Yeah,
They're
seriously.
so inept.
They can't
They-
shoot straight.
They can't catch up with the.
They can't
motorized
detain a
skateboard.
They can't
Yeah.
drive all that well either.
Yeah.
No.
I did like his motorized skateboard
Yeah.
though.
His motorized
Oh, boy.
skateboard, and he falls down
Yeah.
this giant hole.
Yeah, there's
And-
like
and
this
then
giant-
one
yeah.
of them drives
then-
over
But then
after
the
him
cops,
and it
the
blows
cops
up.
keep going, and you're like, did they expect that skateboard to make that jump? For some reason?
Yeah.
Also, one of the cops didn't make that jump
I know.
either.
Yeah,
Yeah.
make that jump.
Like crashed into the side
We
of the
all
hole.
were like, "Whoa, wait!"
The one robot cop was like, "Oh shit!" Boom.
Damn. 2
Yeah.
days to retirement.
oh.
2 days until robot retirement.
So before he fled the scene, Tetsuro loses one of his pendant that he had. That had
That looks
apparently
like a
his
beetle?
mother- yeah, it looks like a beetle with like a skull and crossbones on it. He loses his pendant in the scuffle with the robots. Gets picked up by a mysterious woman wearing like all black fur, and he's like, "Mother." And no, I'm not talking about the Jennifer Lawrence movie, Darren Aronofsky one.
Although that movie made more sense than this. But
Oh, really? Have you seen it?
yeah.
Okay.
Pass. Pass.
Okay.
Next question.
So Tetsuro thinks it's someone, or thinks it's like his mother who was dead, which we find
Yeah.
out much later, but it's someone else who looks like his mother. And we'll find out why
Admittedly,
it's
like
later.
every pretty woman in this whole thing has the exact same character design.
Yeah.
It's just like different colored hair.
that robot
And they
lady.
all
Or sometimes
steal
no
him
face.
away. Have
Yeah,
you
that's
noticed?
true. It's just like constant mother figures.
That
stealing this child.
robot, that robot lady who took out the fat stack of cash also looks like this lady too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I think
every
it's
other
just
lady.
it's Leiji Matsumoto's design style, which is like it's pretty enough. It looks very
Yeah.
dated, but it's really kind of disappointing that he's supposed to be this great artist and he can't draw more than one type of woman.
Well, he can. He can't draw
Well-
more than one type of hot woman.
yeah, it's like you're either you look just like Maytel with different hair, or you look like some kind of ugly cartoon.
Yeah. So, like, when I first saw Ranma Half, I was like, okay, all the girls look the same, but similar, but they all have, like, different hairstyles, their facial, like, their, like, normal
Their
face
facial expressions
expressions
yeah, I guess
are
the,
different.
The issue is that they have the same facial expression like almost
yeah.
all the time.
These people
Yeah.
all have that stoic resting face,
Yeah.
either
Wafy,
um,
ethereal.
yeah.
Yeah,
They
with
look
like the
Je ne
longest
sais quoi.
eyelashes. Like they've trapped something in their
thing-
eyelashes.
This thing had more eyelashes than a Vegas drag show.
only the girls though.
Yeah.
Only those
Yeah,
pretty
only the girls.
Yeah, where were the eyelashes on the boys? Is what
Well,
I'm
their eyes
asking.
moved around so much. They must have
So
fallen.
Yeah,
we'll
also,
talk about that. We'll talk about that.
Tetsuro
We'll talk
has
about
no
that.
nose for like the whole first half. He looks like a Picasso.
We'll talk about that. So we get to the part where Tetsuro actually meets up with Maytel somehow later at the top of this long fire escape.
It's really confusing.
Yeah.
She's magically there, even though he ran
And
away from the station.
Because it's
Yeah.
Toei, this is our first introduction to, or at least for this film, the first introduction to, recycled shot.
Yeah, no, he like
So much running.
runs up like 100 flights of stairs.
And then we keep getting this zoom in into Maytel, and then we go to cut to him, and then back to the zoom in on Maytel. I'm like, man, what?
To be fair, though, and I wish they did this with the other scenes where this happens, they did show him tire out. Like,
yeah, there was like
Oh
a
my God,
little
these are
break
a
where
lot
like
of
he
stairs.
stops at a
It's
landing
pretty funny,
and catches his
actually.
breath and then goes again. But yeah, there's a lot
kind
of
of stairs?
repeated
Like,
stuff,
if
especially
that
running.
happened, if that happened with the last scene, where we get that
Yeah.
would have been great.
Oh
So-
my god.
We see Maytel rescue this boy, and then, being the creeper that she is, she looks into his dreams somehow with this
she
weird
quote-unquote
compact
rescues
machine.
him. She just kind of like pulls him into a door, and you're like,
Yeah.
what? And
Well,
then it's an
she-
elevator.
Oh, and
Oh, yeah.
as he gets rescued, he loses the pass that he stole, thus making everything moot. And
Yeah.
And that poor lady that lost her pass now.
Yep.
is
Yeah,
that's
like,
it.
she's
It's
out
in a
all that
garbage
money.
can.
And then that's the end of the movie. Just kidding.
That's
Yeah.
it.
No
If
pass for
only.
him.
If only.
Yeah, this is the part where it was a little confusing because I think the whole plot is like she's like, I will buy your train pass if you accompany me to where I'm going on
Yeah.
the train. And he's like, okay, I'll get on the train.
Sure, mysterious lady. I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who wants to
Mysterious
talk
lady
about
who's-
the
looks
dream
like my mom.
sequence?
Not at all.
The dream memories.
So when she starts looking to his dreams, it is a flashback of when he was younger, and apparently his eyes grew apart as he aged. Because oh my god, that,
He was a potato.
It's because he had no
Potato
nose that
child.
the eyes kind of tried to fill in where the nose bridge was going to be.
but
I
they're
guess.
also so tiny.
They are
It's-
the tiniest.
Tiny
But
diamond.
anyway, we-
And they're really high.
We see him walking.
Yeah, it's like someone messed up on their create a character for an online game.
the slider. They just went too far.
Yeah, they went like
Yeah.
narrow. Go too
So
narrow.
this potato
Closer.
faced child.
How about this for Monster Creator YouTube?
So we see him and his mother walking in the snow.
Wearing nothing but a cloak.
Yeah, apparently just
God.
a cloak.
And
That's
no
how.
shoes.
Was it the
That's
snow?
how
I thought
poor
it was
they
kind of
were.
a
No
desert.
shoes.
Maybe it was snow and a desert.
No, he said it was cold.
Oh, okay.
Deserts get cold.
Okay, that's true. It looked white. It could have
Still.
been desert.
No,
I don't
I'm
know.
pretty sure that
It
was,
was
snow and
desolate.
everything.
Let's just
But,
put it that
Weird.
way.
yeah.
Technically, Antarctica is also a
Don't
desert.
be naked
so...
in adverse weather is the moral of the story.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes. They're walking. Are they trying to get to a city? Is that?
Yeah, I think they're supposed to get to a city and then they were going to make money for
They were
reasons.
talking about Megalopolis.
Okay.
So it
And-
feels like they were trying to get there. Or
Okay.
at least, yeah.
No, that makes sense. And then they happen to get. They end up in the wrong
of
vicinity,
this desert.
and it turns out they're on a human hunting property of some sort, and the mother gets shot.
By Count
I
Mecha.
like.
By
I like
Count
that you.
Mecha.
I like
This
that you
is such a
explain it
dumb
that
name.
way, but
Count
it's kind
Mecha.
of
It's not any better in Japanese.
Yeah, what's his
'Cause it's
Japanese
Kikai
name?
Yeah, so she gets
Suckers.
shot, and she's like, "Oh no, we
Hold on.
must be in a hunting zone."
Hold on, what is Count Mecha's name in
It's
Japanese?
Kikai Hakushaku,
Wait,
which
so
means
that's a
machine
little-
count.
Yeah, the little translation. He is actually Count Mecha.
Oh
So that was a pretty faithful.
It was a
Oh, yeah.
faithful translation.
Okay.
Yes.
I'll take
It's
it.
just a dumb name.
Mecha.
And yeah, we get this weird shot of her like getting shot, I guess through the stomach or
Sideways?
something, like sideways, and then her falling backwards and then forward.
really long.
Yeah.
Various hand gestures.
Yes. And she's giving her last words to her son, gives him the pendant that has her picture in it.
She talks
Tell
for
her
a
to-
very long time.
Yeah,
when she's dying.
I mean,
Look,
to be
she
fair,
has a
you
lot of
get,
dying words, all right?
yeah.
you get shot in the stomach. That's not a quick death. So
That's true.
That's true. But
That is
also,
one
like,
of the worst
the
ways to
mecha
get
hunters are
shot
supposed to be
at.
bearing down on them.
right, yeah,
They
On
sniped
real
her
horses.
from afar.
Yeah.
yeah. So they
They
make
were
her
very far when
or
they shot her.
She makes him hide. Like live, find your dreams. Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
You're
Count
strong.
Mecha shows up. Is like, ooh, this is a pretty trophy. I'm gonna hang it up in my best area.
Mm-hmm.
Foreshadowing.
He
takes this cloak off, and she is totally naked and
completely
in
naked.
one piece somehow.
No gunshot wound or anything. Pristine.
That's because it went from the side. You don't see her side.
Okay, if you
her
see that
back.
scene though, she was not drawn like someone laying on her side.
No.
Like her butt was there, but then she had her navel like on her back. It was really weirdly drawn. So don't lecture me about not seeing a gunshot wound.
Maybe they shot her through the belly button.
Maybe.
There was blood on the ground, not very much.
Yeah, I thought he picked
Okay,
up
a little
snow,
bit.
so
Just a
that's
little
why I
bit.
was like, "Is it snowing? Did he pick up snow with blood on it? Because that would be weird for sand." That's why.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's also
Agreed.
true. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty much our
But yes,
flashback.
as we were
Yeah.
trying to say when everybody was talking, you learn about everything in that scene backwards. Really. They're walking around and then she gets shot and they're like, oh no, it's a human hunting ground. You're like, what?
Yeah.
Why were you walking in that
Which sort of,
area
like,
in the first
never
place?
come back ever again.
Yeah, I explained it in a way that made sense. I do apologize.
It was
Yeah.
backwards. In the
Yeah, for the
Yeah.
full effect, you should just watch the movie where nothing makes sense.
Right.
It's just like, oh, now this is happening, and this is happening, and this is happening.
And then he wakes up and hears our mysterious lady talking to somebody in the shower.
There's a phone.
He
not
he
weird.
opens the door and just sees her showering. He's like, "Oh," and he's like, "Oh, excuse me. I could have sworn you were talking to somebody, but maybe not. I don't know."
Yeah.
She was clearly talking to somebody.
No
I'm fine
apologies
with-
for, oh, hey, I opened the door on you and you're in the
Right?
shower.
Yeah.
Rude kid.
She just like wrapped
Rude.
a towel around herself, and she's like, no big.
Yeah.
They're
Good thing
very
she-
open and free in the future.
Good thing she has all that hair to cover, like all the way down to the back of her
Everything in-
like knee.
Everything
Yeah.
important. Yeah.
So much hair in this show. So
Also,
much
her hair was not even wet in that shower.
I know, right?
She's very good.
Suspicious.
She's very good at keeping it dry.
Well,
Maybe
I can
she
imagine
was-
like if you had to wash all that hair, like it would take forever to dry.
That,
Yeah, let's
be
that's
real.
true. For all these women, there's so much hair.
Yeah.
And then she goes around and actually tells him that she looked into his dream.
Which
yeah, with
also
her fancy
rude.
like a
compact.
weird.
I don't know what's
their
more
Sailor Moon
rude,
compact.
Like,
walking
walking
in
in,
on a
someone
naked
in the
lady in the
shower?
shower, or checking into someone's dream /
I mean,
memory.
Well,
I
the
guess
former
it's
was an
kinda
accident. The latter was a clear violation of privacy.
Yeah.
Maybe
Well,
she
he
did
was
it
like-
knowing that he would do that.
I mean, he was like, "Oh, I hear something that sounds like running water and two people talking. I'm going to open this door with all this steam in there and look inside."
Yeah. But he doesn't
don't-
even
I
shut
don't
the
know
door
what I
afterwards. He's
expected.
just like, oh, sorry, I'm going to
Whoops.
keep this door open for a while and talk to you.
So we already talked about how he gets a pass for the train, has to accompany her. Then we get to the train boarding scene.
More robot cops.
No,
Oh, God.
no, you guys, the train boarding scene. That's what we get to. Where we have the happiest music ever
Oh,
for
yeah,
train
yeah.
departing.
That's a train
Yes.
departing scene.
Yeah, the music in this is really off the wall. Like it's very 70s, which is interesting, but it's like the composer didn't really understand the tone of the scenes.
Yeah.
Or it feels like they made the correct music for said scenes, and then someone said, "Nah, just
I got
shuffle them around. Put the iPod on shuffle." I don't care.
Yeah. So you get this like jazzy, happy.
It sounded like a weird, like Japanese Steely Dan or something
yeah,
like that.
but wasn't there some reggae at some point? There were some steel drums.
Yeah, steel drums. Karen and
They
I
get
were
some
sitting here
steel
playing
drums at
steel
some
drums.
point
Steel drums.
later on
Yeah.
in the film.
Yeah.
And for this train departure scene, apparently Viz decided to also include a English translated or an English
they-
adaptation
They
of
dubbed
the song.
the song in English for the dub.
Which surprisingly wasn't bad.
yeah.
Yeah.
It was
Honestly.
okay. Not that you could understand half of the words even
Yeah.
when it was
Yeah.
It was
Oh,
like
yeah.
they
That
turned down
probably
the
is what
volume
made it better.
by like 5, and then
Yeah.
we're gonna play it.
The
I mean-
Japanese version is in your face.
Yeah,
And
we're
it also
reading
has
these
English.
terrible subtitles
yeah,
about like,
yeah.
you know, here we are leaving on a journey, and isn't this great?
What was it like? Grab your sweaty determination.
No, sweaty,
yeah.
like your
Oh,
sweaty
yeah.
dream.
Your sweaty.
Yeah,
dream.
grab your sweaty
dream.
dream.
Jeez.
Like,
Okay.
whoa.
Usually,
Like I
if
know
have,
he's a kid, but damn.
usually if I have sweaty dreams, it's because it's something bad. You know, it's like tossing and turning. You're about to wake up. You know, it's one of those types of things.
Yeah.
Grab it, Dennis.
I don't want to.
Get on
I
that
don't
train
want
and
to.
fly.
That's a terrible. I
Get
don't
on that
want
train
to.
and
Don't
fly.
be ashamed.
Wow.
Grab it, Dennis.
No, I don't want to. It's bad. All right. So we get to go to a bunch of other planets. And I feel like this is what interested me the most when I watched this like so long ago. Was like, ooh, traveling to other places, other journeys and stuff. Because I didn't get into a lot of, I guess it reminded me of a little bit of Star Wars in a way where they go to various different planets out in
and they
space.
each have their own exotic setting and
They're,
exotic problems.
Going further and further out of the solar system.
Yeah.
They
They go from Earth.
Well, it was weird because
moons.
I think they start on Earth, right? And then they
Yes.
go to
Yeah.
Titan, and they're like, "Watch out, the sun is stronger than you think here." And I'm like, "No, motherfucker! Like, this is a moon of Jupiter. The sun's going to be a lot weaker."
Maybe because there's no atmosphere on that? I have no idea.
I don't know.
They're weird
But it's
terraforming for the
basically
moon.
space rapture, and everybody
Yeah.
can do whatever they want,
I do like that
including shooting people.
when they land, it's spelled Taitan for Titan.
Titan. And it's they spell
How do you spell
station
station?
with 2 S's, so it's Station.
This is the part where you're like, oh, when this was a TV show, they would spend like 5 episodes on each
Yeah.
planet.
And then
Yeah.
this,
Sure.
this is where I
Yeah.
can tell, like, oh.
Yeah, this part, it feels very episodic, and it kind
Yeah.
of reminded me of Kino's journey, where each place they go to is sort of a thought experiment, and like, oh, it's like normal society, except this one thing is terribly different.
Yeah,
really
apparently
fucked
there's
up.
a lot of
Yeah.
bandits at this place
it
because
would be kind of nice
some-
to have 5 episodes right there because it kind of immediately you get off the train and you're like, oh,
some dude
Yeah.
just gets fucking shot.
They step off the train, somebody gets shot, Mytel immediately gets kidnapped. She's like, don't follow me.
She gets shot too. I'm like, wait, is
No,
she?
he gets
He
shot.
gets shot.
No, she gets shot as well.
No, they
all
like grab her, don't they?
No,
Who
she
gets shot?
She falls on the ground.
Everyone gets shot.
She
Don't
falls
matter.
on the
So,
ground
like,
because she
some
gets
random
shot.
dude gets shot. Maytel falls on the ground and gets kidnapped by bandits.
She
Oh, right.
falls on the ground because she gets
got
shot.
shot.
She gets,
Oh,
it doesn't
God.
matter.
No, it doesn't
she
matter.
gets picked up by 2 dudes and carried like a carpet, and that's how they run off with
And
her.
she's still awake somehow after getting shot.
She's like, okay, I'll go with this, whatever.
So
Oh, and then like he
So
walks
wait.
into a bar,
Quick
right?
question. So when random
me.
dude gets shot
Yeah.
and then Tetsuro
In the
sees
face.
it,
He gets like he gets like a huge hole through his
Yeah,
gut.
he's dead.
when
He's dead.
Tetsuro sees him, like what is he saying?
What do you mean?
Like what is Tetsuro saying after that guy gets shot?
Whoa,
I don't know. You tell me.
Because there's a reason I want to know because it's different in the dub. That's why I'm trying to ask.
I don't remember.
Okay, because in
You
the
act like we were paying that much
in
attention.
the dub, I found it hilarious. He's like, "Whoa, Mister, you're dead!" I'm like, "Oh God,
wow.
thanks, Tetsuro."
That ain't wrong.
it was
dead.
not that hilarious.
I mean,
in the
he's
sub.
not. Yeah, that's why I was like, I don't remember what happened there, but in the dub, it's hilarious.
You're dead.
No, Mister, you're dead.
He watched Rush Hour. Wipe yourself off. You dead.
Wow. Oh my god.
That's why I wanted to know what Tetsuro said. Apparently, it wasn't important.
You'll just have to
Nothing
watch it
big.
again.
I
I'm
don't
so
think
sorry.
He says anything particularly
He might
big.
just
I
been
think it's
like-
just like, whoa, what happened? Like,
Might have
what's
just
going
been
on?
like, "Oh no, he's dead." Maybe something like that.
Something
Yeah,
like that,
sure.
or he got
Sure.
shot or something. You
Yeah,
know,
okay.
I would be willing to bet it was something like, "Oh my God, he's been shot" or something. And
Okay.
Yeah, and then my tail
American
gets-
television was like,
Oh, no, mister,
that's too
you-
violent." So
Oh no,
let's-
Mister, you're dead.
Oh no, you're dead.
Yeah.
So he gets shot.
the dude looks up. Thanks, kid.
I didn't realize.
So my tail gets taken, and then
He gets shot.
Yeah,
he
and then
gets
he
shot
gets
afterwards.
shot.
And then he gets
Wakes up in a random bed.
Someone
like,
else's
the second
bed.
time in
New
this
York.
film, waking up in a random bed.
Rescued by another woman.
An
Yeah,
old
who are these
lady
people
this time.
finding him and like putting him into
Stereotypical
their
grandma.
beds? Like,
Well, it was the 70s.
What's
How's that explain?
What does that have to
He is also a kid, so maybe
So maybe they're
maybe
like, oh,
people
he
are
feels
kinder
sorry
to
for him.
children. You know,
like he couldn't possibly be a threat to me at all. So
Yeah.
therefore,
Yeah, in this land of everybody does whatever the
Of
fuck they want. I'm
lawlessness.
sure that this little kid with a gun, or I guess he doesn't
No,
have.
no,
a
he
No,
gun.
he doesn't have the gun yet. She gets that
Oh,
later.
Yeah, this little kid who's apparently been shot is probably not going to cause me a problem.
Yeah, I mean, admittedly, now that I know how the movie ends, I can kind of see why this old lady was like, "Oh, I'm going to take in this terribly injured child."
Or not terribly, because he.
Well, he
fine
was
when
like,
he woke
okay,
up.
but yeah, so he did wake up, and he meets this old lady who's like, "Oh, I'm going to give you this hat to protect yourself from this sun that is apparently a danger." And I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't think
The
so.
sun.
And also this.
because he was trying to go to the grape.
the
Great.
Yeah, yeah. So
Valley.
basically,
Valley
like she
bandits.
gives
Yeah.
him all the exposition, like this is a planet of bandits. they're in the Grape Valley. Don't go in there. It's super dangerous. They've taken your friend there. And of course he's like, I'm going to go into the Grape Valley.
She's like, okay.
Here's a boat. So like,
take my boat.
Yeah, take my boat. Also take this
my
hat.
son's costume.
Take
my
Wait,
son's
kid, it's dangerous to go alone.
bandit costume.
Take this gun that used to belong to my son. I want to give it to you. And he's like, okay, I'm off now.
Never
Bye.
shot a gun before, but okay, I'll take it.
Yeah. I'm going to sit on my porch and pet this cat until you come back.
I'm gonna say it's a running gag for this, but as long as Tetsuro gets attacked first or something passes him first, he's pretty good with the gun. But if he has to shoot first, he sucks.
Oh, because he's a
super
good
sucks.
guy. Like he can only he can only retaliate.
You can only counter.
Yeah.
You know,
attack.
I feel
can't
like that
initiate
gun
attack.
is potentially like laser magnetic because every time it gets shot right out of his hand.
That's true.
Every single time.
Also, the first couple times he shoots it, the recoil is so intense that like the first time he shoots it, he falls out of the boat.
It's like Men in Black scene.
Yeah, it's like the
It's a noisy cricket.
He doesn't even wait.
Knocks
He's
him
like,
full 4 feet
oh no,
backwards.
this child. Well, he
like this
doesn't even
girl,
say anything. You
this
just
young
see
girl
this
gets
child
abducted by
hanging
this
off of
robo
Yeah.
droid.
Yeah, so-
I'm gonna
Robo-droid.
shoot it.
He's in this boat going
even
to
say
the
anything.
into the Grape Valley,
And it
It
explodes.
explodes, but that kid is fine.
yeah.
Somehow.
Falling-
I can
falling
see
from
her
that
parachute. She's gonna be okay.
Yay,
No, and-
parachutes.
and then-
Everybody's
and then-
Caught by a
Random
random man that
bandit
comes
dude.
out of nowhere.
Yeah, and this guy actually looks like a bandit because he's all like scruffy white
Yeah.
beard and whatnot.
Burly.
I'm assuming
Eye
he's
patch
burly.
man.
I'm
Yeah.
assuming he's
Scar.
from the TV show because we don't get his name until later, which is Antares.
Yeah,
Maybe.
I've also can we just mention that everyone who's like seen some shit in this movie has a scar, and it's always under the
left
left
side.
Left
cheek.
eye. And it's like they do a really bad job at stitching the
Yeah.
scar.
It all
yeah,
has the
yeah.
cross marks.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like it's terribly done.
It's like Kenshin plus 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 plus.
Yeah. On Wednesdays, we cut ourselves in the face.
Because that mark is like, because I've seen some Harlock stuff, so that's like the iconic Harlock.
yeah, but it's,
Yeah.
But
it's less
everybody
iconic when
has it.
everybody has
Everybody
it.
has it, yeah.
I guess the issue is no one has it as big as Harlock because Harlock's at least goes on the bridge of his nose,
Yeah.
which
Yeah, everyone else is just kind of like on one side of the face, and his is like crossing more territory.
Yeah,
Everybody
it's
else
similar.
is badass.
It's similar
Yeah.
to like Luffy's scar in One Piece, except a stab from him. Whereas I don't know how Antares gets his scar.
Well, yeah, that's never really covered.
It might
Nah, it
have
doesn't
something
matter.
to do
He's a
with all
badass.
the shrapnel in his stomach.
All the times he's
So
been shot.
this guy's backstory is that he is a bandit, but he also rescues children, and he has this whole like collection of orphans who have been orphaned by Count Mecha shooting their parents.
Yeah.
So he
I
should
guess-
He's a
technically
good guy.
take
It's a
in
lot of
the
shooting.
main
He has a lot
character.
Yeah,
of
so
human
he
hunting
should
grounds
just
on
adopt
various
Tetsuro right
planets.
here,
Right.
Because like Tetsuro fully qualifies as an orphan.
Even though they shot that dude outside the station.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah,
He
maybe-
could have been a
maybe he was
robot.
mecha
Oh, okay.
henchman.
Whatever.
Because when Tetsuro tries to shoot at Antares first, I can't really tell if like it was intentional or not, but he shot through the tree, missed Antares, and hit some
the
other
robot.
robot guy.
He's not that
Just like falls out of
badass.
the tree.
He walks out like, damn.
Right? To be fair,
I
the
couldn't tell if
robot
that was intentional.
guy did have a gun out, so I don't know if he was gonna try to either recapture that girl. Kill
Well, it seemed like the
Antares.
robot guy was hunting her. Like that was the
Yeah.
whole
Oh,
thing.
okay.
But I feel like it wasn't intentional because as soon as that robot dies, he then again pulls the gun on
on
him.
Antares.
It's like,
Tetsuro's trigger happy.
yes.
He
Yeah.
is. Have gun. First time using it. First time I killed a robot man. I'm so alive.
I will shoot at the spaceship through the window.
I got the taste. I got the taste.
I just love how they're so casual about death in this. They're just kind of like, oh,
Very
dude
casual
died over
about
there. Oh, like I shot somebody in the head. Okay, whatever. There's no repercussions.
Yeah,
Oh my
really.
God, I
After
just
we
shot
see
somebody.
the space
Yeah.
cops on Earth, we don't really see any other cops at all.
No, we
Yeah.
don't.
Especially
Not
not
even
on
robot cops.
Yeah,
Titan.
no robot cops.
Titan.
Titan.
Welcome
So-
to Titan.
What was that?
we get the weird X-ray body scans on Tetsuro.
Oh yeah, they're like, we have to make sure that you're not a robot.
Yeah.
So they scan Tetsuro, who comes up as like a cartoon set of like skeleton bones.
Yeah, right.
And then they scan Maytel, who has bones, but you can also see her figure, like the silhouette. And they're like, oh, excuse me, like we just had to test.
They turned down the intensity of the X-ray. So
Yeah.
They also made it
outline.
taller because like
Oh yeah,
Tetsuro's whole body is in it, but then just I mean,
yeah.
it goes all the way
Maytel's
up
from
to
like
her
neck down. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, also Maytel is like about 7 feet tall, and Tetsuro's about 3 feet tall.
But then it kept changing. Like when they're walking next to each other far away,
Suddenly
you can see
he's
the
like
height
as tall
difference.
as her
But when they're next to
shoulder,
each
Yeah.
other,
and
it's
then-
like
Like
shoulder
when we
height.
first meet,
Yeah.
he's at her like belly button, and then later on he's at her shoulder.
Yeah, well,
So-
well, that's the problem because she's a noodle and he's a potato.
They can never be together.
but they're both starch. Come on.
Society won't approve. Too
Yeah.
much starch.
And Tari's decides to X-ray himself for fun.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for shits and giggles.
Fun and radiation.
He's like, hey,
Look, guys, I'm also not a robot, and look
Yeah.
at
Look
my
at all these bullets in my
It was
torso.
his attempt to be like, oh, like I'm sorry I subjected you to
Yeah.
to all this
bigger.
bad radiation. Let me do it too.
Let me stay here for about 5 minutes. while
I don't
talk to
care.
you.
I'm old.
I like how Ed's reaction in the X-ray scene, like when you see all the bones and stuff, he's like, "Whoa, that's way too much radiation."
They just stand there for like.
Also, I love it's a screen and like it lights up beneath their feet, and somehow that's an X-ray.
And nobody else is wearing lead aprons or anything. They just
Yeah.
let us spill
Yeah.
all
Nope.
over the room. It's fine.
Nope.
Whatever. This is the future.
Yeah.
The
So
future.
the important foreshadowing is that Antares has all of these unexploded bullets in his body.
I don't know
He
how that
just
works.
left
But
it
that's
Yeah,
there.
who knows? Who knows? So he's like, I've got a limited
He's a
time.
ticking time bomb.
I'm trying to do what I can while I'm alive.
Maybe you should.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll blow up long after I'm dead. Okay,
Yeah, if you say so.
Sure, buddy.
stand over there.
Yeah, that's true.
God.
Like, I don't want you to be X-rayed or have any other kind of energy going into your body, sir.
So the real importance of this planet was to meet Antares and for Tetsuro
Get
to
more
get this
exposition.
Yeah.
to get this bandit gear.
Yeah,
that,
yeah, because
um,
he keeps the hat and the cape and the gun for
the
like
lady
pretty much the
gives
rest
it to
of the
him
movie.
because she says it belonged to my son who went off on his own type of adventures, and if you ever see him, just tell him that I miss him. And
Yeah, and he's like,
So
"How will
she
I know
doesn't
him?
clarify.
He wears a hat like this one." But like, so 2 hats.
2 bullet-ridden hats.
Yeah,
I'm like,
yeah, this
did the-
hat is like falling apart.
did the first one get a shit ton of bullets riddled with it that he bought a new clean one in order to
Oh,
go to
maybe.
space and then get a shit ton of bullets riddled in it too?
Yeah,
Possibly.
spoiler: we do meet the son, and he does wear a similar looking hat
Yeah.
that has many fewer bullet holes in it.
Yeah, but before that, we go to Pluto.
Yeah, which is cold.
This
at least.
was a fucking dark one. I don't know how many
admittedly, considering how little they actually knew about Pluto back then, the whole fact of it being like this ice planet where everything is cold and everything's covered in ice, like, this is not inaccurate.
Yeah.
I did.
But it
I
has
did,
magical atmosphere.
I did laugh when they were getting close to Pluto, and the entire train got cold.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That is
is
dumb.
the
That's not how
Vacuum of
this works. Like,
space.
you've been in
No.
space.
Yeah, well, and then they say the reason why Pluto's cold is because of all of the souls of the people buried there. And I'm like, that ain't why it's cold.
Wait, was this before or after the tunnel?
Before the tunnel.
Okay, this is before the tunnel.
So on Pluto, we find out that the people who
Crystal
choose
girl on the train too. Crystal
was that
girl.
before? or
No,
after? I thought it was
that's
after. Pluto.
after.
Was
That's
because
after.
I got cold.
Slow your
That's
roll.
after. Okay.
So
Sorry.
upset right
we
now.
talked about the tunnel and now I'm all thrown off. I'm sorry.
Yeah, we haven't gotten to the tunnel yet, you guys. Come on.
Sorry.
It's like, no, you're ruining my show.
Like I was saying, we find out that on Pluto is basically a giant graveyard. The people who choose, quote unquote, choose to get robot
Mechanical
bodies,
bodies?
mechanized,
Yeah.
is what they call it. That their bodies they just bury in this massive graveyard in Pluto.
The whole concept of what it means to become mechanized is like, this is where I was like, oh, that's not what I expected. Because it's weird to me that they become mechanized, but their human bodies are just kind of kept in cold storage here on Pluto.
I feel like that's for people who want to do like a full mechanized body conversion type thing, because we see that there are some later on that there are some people who still have like a human type body with just partly replaced robo parts
Yeah.
later.
They never explain this that well.
Yeah,
They
no,
also
they
don't
don't.
explain why the human bodies have to go in like the ground that is clear, so you can see all
Yeah,
the
so
bodies.
you got all these like
And-
layers of bodies in
Yeah,
there.
I'm like,
and it's
how
like
do
that
you
creepy
how do you
swamp in Lord of the
window
Rings.
all? Because there are like at least 5 layers of humans in there.
How
or
do you
people.
retrieve the
What?
bodies?
How do you get to the bottom one?
Yeah, what if someone comes back and is like, I want my
How
real
does
body
that
back?
ice stay clear?
Well, at this point, they hint that there's no like actual going back with the lady that we meet, who was Shadow. Was that her name?
Yeah,
Yes, that's her
yeah.
name.
So the caretaker of this sort of ice graveyard place is called Shadow, and she's also kind of not human anymore.
No, she's
Yeah,
not.
she's a robot. She's a
Oh,
robot.
she's just full robot.
Yeah,
She
so
doesn't have
she,
any eyes.
while Mattel is praying over somebody that
Somebody.
we never see, Shadow comes up and starts talking to Tetsuro, and is like, "Oh yeah, these are the bodies. I used to have a body. It was pretty. Follow
Come
me."
see
Yes,
my body.
Come see my body. Let me grab you by the wrist and not let you go
Drags
while you're
him.
like, please let me go, lady.
I have to give credit to Tetsuro in this instance where he acted like a normal human being or a normal child. Was like, wait a minute, creepy lady, stop pulling me. I don't know where you're taking
Yeah.
me. Stop.
Yeah.
To be fair, he didn't he get warned to not wander off, and then suddenly he's like,
Yeah, but
"Oh,
he
yeah."
always ignores those orders.
Yeah.
Sort of. Where I guess she did tell him that, but at the same time, she's like, okay, I'm gone. Bye.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Good luck
Yeah.
on your own.
They had what, 6?
they were
6
able staying there
days
for
or
6 days.
whatever,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting because we sort of hear from the train conductor. It's like, oh, we're going to be stopping here for this many days, and then you got to get back on the train because we're not going. Like, we have to keep on this schedule.
It's like a weird cruise ship thing happening.
yeah,
Space cruise.
And they do make it a point to say, if you are not here, we will leave you.
Yeah.
yeah. So it's like, oh, isn't it handy that they managed to get through their whole bandit escapade and get back on the train in time?
In 14 days. Woo!
Well, that
Yeah.
seemed like it happened all in one day.
No, Tetsuro
'Cause it
was
was
knocked
short.
out for 13 of those days.
Oh my God. He was in
He had
that
to recover.
chick's bed-
He had to recover.
No, he
Wow.
wasn't in there for 13 days.
So we
but-
do see on Pluto, Shadow still has her body, which she's like, oh, it's so pretty, and wants to, I guess, kill Tetsuro to not
no,
be lonely.
He
Yeah. Yeah, it
wants
was
her to
vague.
stay there with him, with her.
But she is trying to kill him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she
They
eventually
tell
kills
she's
him.
like, don't kill him.
Yeah. When Mattel shows up, like, hey, stop it, and she's like, oh, my poor body, like drapes
Yeah.
over her body, and that's the end of
like
that story.
tragic
Yeah, it's
Disney
weird.
princess style. of
Yeah.
Like, oh,
Yeah, it's weird because like her human body is actually in this like Snow White
Yeah.
type clear coffin.
Right, which is like, this is the point where it's like, oh, so no one can go back once they
Well,
are
I feel
mechanized.
like they
Except
can't.
later
Yeah.
with Claire,
Well,
you find
that-
out.
this is why I was like,
you
mentioning that.
can you can go back later, like if you choose to, and she's just like
Apparently?
she says that she doesn't want to go back, but she can't leave her. She doesn't want to leave her body.
Yeah, it's-
which
it's
is why.
Like she
I
doesn't
think
want
it's-
to die, but she.
Yeah, it's
her
supposed to be this
body's
big
dead.
metaphor where it's like she wanted to be beautiful forever, therefore she left her human body.
but
in
realizing
ice.
that she could never create a beautiful face or something.
Yeah, she was like,
without
I
using the
couldn't make a
body.
face as beautiful as my real human face, therefore I'm this
Yeah.
icy lady who has no face at all. But apparently that's better because I can look at my own face. I'm like, oh, this is like narcissistic and really weird.
Yeah, in the dub they changed something around. Whereas she wants Tetsuro to just like stay with her because she's lonely. In the dub, it started out even creepier because she grabs him and you know, being in a robot body, I don't know how you register it, but she goes, "Oh, Tetsuro, you're so warm. Your hands are so warm. Let me hold you. Stay with me so I can feel your warmth for forever." I'm just like, what the fuck is happening here with this lady? Why is Tetsuro being accosted by all these creepy ladies all the time?
Yeah, well, apparently, like potato children are really popular.
Very popular.
Everybody likes a
Ladies
potato
love
child.
potatoes.
Well, I'm not arguing that.
He looks like Harlock, so maybe that's
Kid Harlock.
Everybody's all
yeah,
like,
he looks like a younger version of Harlock with the haircut.
yeah.
And the covering of the eye without
Yeah.
Sans eye patch most of the time.
Yeah,
So Maytel reprimands Shadow, and they go back and
Yeah, so
move
they
to
get
the
on
next
the train
planet.
again.
She
And now it's
mysteriously
like, when's
has
the next
has
stop?
a
No more Pluto.
has a power over Shadow in authority wise, but
Yeah.
you don't really know why. Cause
We
she
see
just-
this weird thing where Tetsuro is actually asking the questions that I was having. It's like, so whose grave was Maytel looking at? Maybe you want to find out more. And then we see like the whole like, What if I use this dream spying device on Maytel instead? No, I don't care, actually. Stomp, 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 stomp.
Oh my
I
god.
don't care, so I'm gonna destroy it.
Like,
Yeah.
dude, that's not even yours.
Yeah.
Seriously. And he like stomps all over it. She starts waking up, and his first thought is, "I'll get rid of the evidence by destroying this thing that's
by
hers."
scooping
Yeah.
it under the chair
And then like
with my
stomps
legs.
on it, and she wakes up and kind of like, I mean, I feel like she saw him,
She definitely
and
saw him.
she's like, "Oh, how funny!" And he's like, "I'm gonna kick these parts underneath the chair like it never happened." And I'm
It's like someone trying to cough when they're trying to like hide that they're farting. Like,
Yeah.
the guy like
And Raquel wakes up. She's like, "Oh, how cute! You're destroying my property."
yeah, what the
Yeah.
fuck, kid? I mean, I gave you a pass that's super expensive anyway, but still, what
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
fuck?
I don't know, man.
So then I think it's at this point or a little
see-
bit later we go to the dining hall.
No.
Space tunnel?
No, we meet
We have
Emeraldus.
too many stops.
Oh, are we skipping over
Oh.
Claire?
That doesn't happen.
That
there.
doesn't happen yet.
Oh,
That happens
See,
later.
this is your fault, Karen. You're jumping all over the place.
Started
I
about
get
the
confused.
tunnel, and now I'm all confused.
Well, how did this begin? It was like someone mentions like Queen Emeraldus, the famous space pirate, and then
"Oh no!" She rolls up and is like,
no, and
"I'm-
then like Queen Emeraldus shows up. Like, it was like, oh, we were just talking about her, and then she shows up and is like, I have the right
Well,
away
'cause
over
in
here.
her-
Get on
in
the
her-
right
you're
right,
train.
you're right. We do meet
Emeraldus
Claire.
is the only person.
We do meet Claire at
Wait, hold on.
Emeraldus' time.
What was that, Dennis? Can you repeat that?
You were right. We do meet Claire at
Right.
Emeraldus' time.
Thank you.
Oh,
Thank you.
I was looking at my
See?
notes. I skimmed it.
Because doesn't she stand up to the side and she's like, "Oh nose, oh nose."
That's what I thought.
You guys want to talk about the food? Or
No,
you
I just wanted to
Well, I
mention
don't-
Claire.
Okay.
yeah,
It was in the dining hall.
They have
Glass.
dinner.
It's a crazy
they meet
state.
Claire.
yeah. They go to
Glass
the dining
robot,
car, and
which-
Tetsuro doesn't know how to order food.
yeah."
To be
The only
fair,
thing that makes
it.
sense
to
about
be
this
fair,
movie
he
never
grew
been
up
to a
super
restaurant.
poor.
is
He's never
Mytel's
been to
like,
this restaurant.
the steak should be medium rare. That's the only right thing
Yeah.
about this movie.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. At least
I
she
do
knows how
how
to
she,
order.
I
a
do like
steak.
how she's going like, I'll have it with bread, he'll have it with rice.
But it's like, oh yeah, that sounds great.
Okay.
And so their waitress is Claire, who is a robot, but her body is made entirely out of like crystal glass.
Yeah.
And she doesn't wear any clothes, so she's just like sort of clear and naked, with like a little maid hat.
And
Yeah.
flowing glass hair.
Glass
So-
hair.
Yeah,
Glass hair.
however that works.
Oh my
but she's very
God.
nice, and she's
We
kind
don't
of
see
taken
any
with
circuitry
Tetsuro.
because she's clear. I'm like, how do you function?
Yeah, but apparently her backstory is that her mother sold her into mechanization, and she's working on the train to make enough money to buy back her human body because she doesn't want to be a mecha.
well, I don't know about buy back her human body. I think pay for the process to go back to being a human. That's
Oh,
what
well,
I'm
whatever.
thinking that
But
it
she's
is.
like, yeah, my body's on Pluto. Sometimes I try to go back to see it. And I was like,
On my
ooh,
days
that's a little
off.
harsh.
right?
Yeah.
That's
And you have no idea
Pluto's
how old
fucking
she
dark.
actually is. Like
No.
we have no clue how old this.
Well, she
this
seems
Claire
youngish.
is. Yeah.
She seemed youngish, but I'm wondering like
I really hope
They've been
she's
working
youngish.
for 800 years.
That's
to
true.
Earn enough money.
Yeah,
That would be creepy.
Yeah,
because
so-
she falls pretty hard for Tetsuro.
Yeah, even though like he doesn't know how to order steak or eat it.
he is blushing around her though because
she's naked.
Yeah, she's naked.
Yeah.
Clear
And then
naked body.
it's like, oh look, like her hands are cold, but oh, like she can sort of warm herself and hold his hand and like.
well,
And then we get the space tunnel.
yeah.
yeah.
says-
the
Why
train-
space tunnel? Because it's a tunnel in
Yeah,
space.
Yeah, so they explain it as like it's some kind of wormhole or something, but
no, it's
apparently
some kind of like weird asteroid, like
Trans-
Faraday cage.
dimensional
thing.
You say like yeah,
Asteroid.
dimensional.
They say it's
something.
transdimensional.
yeah, it was some sort of dimensional
They
portal.
change it in the dub, all right.
Yeah.
In the dub, it's just like this asteroid field kind of messes with all our instruments, so it turns everything off except for how
Well, at least
fast
that
that's
it
makes more
interesting.
sense because, like, the idea of they're going through this tunnel that they knew was there, and it causes all of the lights on the train to go off.
Yeah.
like they can't keep the power on during this thing.
Yeah.
They can't go around.
But at least we get to see that Claire can
Those
kind of light things up
dimensional
by
hopping.
illuminating herself.
Night,
She glows.
Yeah, she's like a nightlight.
She's a
Well, we
light
have
bright.
a light bright, and then we have
Yeah, and honestly, I'm like,
Claire is
so
not the
they're gonna
clapper.
finish their dinner in the dark
tunnel,
here.
secret tunnel
Like,
in space.
Couldn't she
Yeah.
have been like, oh, we're coming up on a tunnel. Like, you should, come like either have dinner earlier or later. Like, don't have dinner right now because you won't be able to see a damn thing.
What about
their
all the
personal
other
table
people who
lamp,
were
though.
eating?
Yeah,
You know, the
that's
service
true.
on this train is really shitty when you think
Yeah.
about it.
They all disappeared.
Well, there's
Yeah.
one conductor
And then it became a
one
ghost
waitress,
train.
and that's it.
Yeah, we don't even know who drives this freaking
That's
thing.
automated.
It's all automated. We see all the levers and everything pull them themselves. So
That's true.
I guess he's just there.
There's only 2 employees on this train.
Yeah,
I
Claire
did-
and the conductor,
yeah.
and they're both a little incompetent.
And I did write on my notes. I was like, hair? How?
yeah, how does
I don't
this
understand how glass hair
work?
works.
How
Like I thought it was just like, okay, I guess they just designed her with hair. Okay, that's cool. But then she moves, and it's like,
Yeah, and then the
how
hair
is the hair
flows.
flowing?
Like, wait, what?
Yeah,
It's glass.
Meh.
But
Robots.
Same
is it on the
character
other
design.
side of the tunnel?
Robots,
is when
man.
we finally meet
Emeraldus.
Emeraldus.
We stare at Karen every
Emeraldus.
time we
I'm
say
sorry.
that because she keeps saying Esmeraldus.
Esmeralda.
So this is where
Like
like
emerald, except red, red emerald.
right.
Sure.
This is the point in like any type of space story where you have to set some kind of rules for space. So we see Tetsuro. He sees the ship, the giant blimp in space with
Yeah.
some kind of pirate ship on the
Let's
bottom.
talk about how Emeraldus' ship looks, because it looks like on the bottom it's a pirate ship, and then on top, as though it were a big hot air balloon, it's a fucking giant submarine. Like this big blimp-shaped submarine with a little pirate ship
with,
on the
with a little
bottom of
pirate
it.
ship
Yeah.
that has sails
Yeah,
furled up for some reason, but it's there. I don't know.
And
yeah, it's whatever.
Tetsuro wants to talk to Emeraldus because,
And
oh god, what's his name? The bandit died. We just talked about.
Antares?
Antares told
Antares
him
is like Emeraldus knows where this guy is,
where the
or
time
whatever.
time castles.
Yeah.
gonna
Yeah,
be.
so yeah, apparently he stays
By
in
the
the
way,
time
the time castle is where Count Mecha lives, so that's where Tetsuro wants to go because he wants to kill Count Mecha.
yeah.
Yeah. So how does he try to get her attention? He shoots through the fucking window on a space vehicle at her.
Yeah.
No pressurization or
Nothing.
anything.
Yeah,
Nothing
no
happens.
Nothing
pressurization.
happens
No.
except the window breaks, and the conductor's like,
Not
"Oh
even
no,
breaks. It's just a
property
tiny
damage."
hole in the
Yeah.
window.
Yeah,
It's
well,
like,
it's a
what?
break. He
Well,
breaks.
we
And
skipped
before-
the reason why she was there in the first place, because apparently she wanted
Well, she was just
right
traveling.
away.
Yeah,
of the
she was traveling,
train
but somehow
that's in the middle of space.
in 3-dimensional
Yeah.
space, she had to go this specific way.
Move, train, get out the way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Get out the way, train.
She tells the train to slow down because she has the right of way. Okay.
She is a pirate, and
meanwhile,
no one
the train
wants to
is like,
mess
no,
with her.
we are a
But
train on a
what's the
schedule.
right of way in fucking space?
The right of way is Emeraldus' way. That's the right of way.
I was
You
like,
don't fuck
fucking
with
highway
Emeraldus.
But it
or the
wasn't
highway.
like-
submarine on
Admittedly,
a
she's the
boat.
queen. Like,
But it-
all ways are the
Yeah.
queen's
it
ways.
wasn't like they were in danger of colliding or anything. They were
That's
running
true.
parallel to each other.
It's kind of
Yeah.
like the whole Catarl thing where it's like,
Yeah.
hey, because we're the Catarl, we claim the right of way for this thing going.
But they were about to hit. That was their problem. There was no chance of them hitting. They were running parallel to each other.
Yeah, Emeraldus is just kind of being a jerk.
And she
And
just
I
takes
think-
like one laser shot against her ship, and she's like, "Let's open a barrage against the train."
Yeah.
Like,
Well, and then she boards the train and shows up in person. It's like,
I
who
don't know
dares
if she
shoot at
actually
me?
hits the train. I think they were
No,
just
but
like
they
warning
fly.
shots.
They
fire,
kind of
like, just
fly
over the
the
train.
train.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I guess there's
They
enough
did
pressure
fire
to shake
on
the
it.
train.
Yeah.
They did fire
And there
on
were
it.
people that
Yeah,
they
this is the
showed
one time
during
we
this
do see
thing,
other
and they're
people.
like, "Oh no!"
Emeraldus walks through a
The
train
one
car,
time.
like
This is, like,
looking.
the third time
Well,
it seems
but
to
she's
be.
looking for like who
the
dared
second,
to
maybe.
shoot at her, and Tetsuro speaks up like, "I dared to shoot at you because I want to ask you something," and she's like, "Oh, this potato child."
It's not even old
You
enough.
have a
Where'd
hat
you-
and a
like-
gun that look familiar.
Yeah.
I won't kill you.
Yeah, I'm gonna talk
Where'd
to
you get those clothes?
Yeah.
I am placated now. I am not
Yeah.
going
To be
kill
fair,
anybody.
you know,
Goodbye.
before like we see Tetsuro there, like Emeraldus is like fucking owning that ship when she gets in there. Just like
Yeah,
Seriously.
She's like, anybody who shoots at
Very-
me doesn't survive. Oh
very
wait, you have a
commanding.
hat that looks familiar.
Yeah,
And a
well,
gun.
you know, except for
I'll
potato
let this
children, she
slide.
makes an exception for
but
those.
like she has a
Also,
really
she knows
commanding
Maytel.
presence and stuff.
Yes, she
Also,
does
you
know
see that she
Maytel.
knows Maytel somehow. They know each
yeah,
other.
yeah,
Everyone on that at least car for the train car like is like, oh shit, it's Emeraldus, you guys shut up. Don't do
Yeah,
Everybody get down on the
He is
floor.
infamous.
Yep.
yeah. So
Yeah.
the whole standoff really
She's wanted
kind of
across the galaxy.
Yeah,
I
they're-
just love that somebody shoots her ship with a handgun,
And it hits?
does enough that she opens fire on a train and then boards it.
She's like, who dare?
Nobody disrespects Queen Emeraldus, okay?
Yeah, you don't
Yeah.
have anything better to do.
I want to know how like it even registered on that ship, like
yeah,
the
right?
laser,
It's
a laser bolt.
handgun.
It did.
I don't
It did
know.
explode explode like when it hit the ship. I mean, it is a handgun, but
Well,
it's a
don't
hand
they call it like a
laser
hero's weapon or
gun.
something?
A warrior's weapon.
Yeah.
Warrior's weapon.
And it does make a little explosion when it does make contact. So I could imagine like on the streams like, oh hey, we took fire, bitch.
Queen Emeraldus, we have registered a handgun that hit us. What?
Where'd it come from? That passenger train over there. Open fire.
Fire everything.
Everything is a warning shot. I'm going to board them and make him my bitch.
Well, that seems reasonable.
How dare this train that I wanted to get out of my
Well,
way
it's basically
fired
road
on
rage.
me.
It's like she wanted to merge into that lane, and the train was already in the way.
The
and then like
non-existent
someone
lane
on
in
the train
space.
flipped her off, and she's like, "Oh, hell no!"
So she essentially jammed the gas pedal, leapt out of her sunroof onto this car.
Yeah. Yep.
Fast and the Furious style in space.
Yes.
That's
This
what
is
Fast-
basically
that's what
and
Fast
Furious
9 is gonna be.
in space.
Actually,
Trains in
now that I
space.
think about it, she must have had some kind of tunnel because she did not have a spacesuit.
Nope.
So she was just boarding.
There is
boarding
no
that train.
information
They
about
can
how
shoot
she
out
got
windows
from
anyway.
her
I know
It doesn't-
That's true.
we were completely ignoring any of
Maybe
it.
there's an atmosphere in this kind of space.
They
Who
did say
knows?
they have like this weird protective
Some
energy
energy
barrier
field.
Yeah.
around the train
Yes.
to make it a train.
So
in
the,
Star
space.
the
Trek
bullet
down to
went
there.
through that.
Yeah.
Where
It is an
Emeraldus'
energy
ship was.
barrier. I mean, so
It's okay.
yeah.
They have one-way lasers in later.
Yeah.
That's not the worst barrier issue.
Yeah.
that we get.
We get to another barrier
That's
later.
true.
So we get info from Emeraldus that Count Mecha is going to appear somewhere is going to appear at a Trader's Fork.
Oh, which conveniently happens to be the next stop for the train.
Yeah.
Yes.
Whoop-de-doo.
How lucky.
Yeah, but at this
Yeah.
point I was kind of like, oh, God.
I do like the locale for Heavy Melder, at least. Like, this one looks, it's very alien looking.
Very
But
western.
we would say that
Wild
was a
West
straight
with
face.
aliens.
It's very Wild West, but we get like a whole bunch of like aliens and robots. It's actually
Was this the
populated.
one with the Russian soundtrack?
Yeah, we're
Yes,
getting
it
like
was.
weird gondola music.
Yeah, it
We
was
get that
either
weird
Italian or
cats.
Russian. It was a
Or that
weird-
It's
weird
like
red
Mediterranean
cat dealy
Greek.
thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, it was like Mediterranean Tetris music.
Yeah.
What about that cat?
It did
Random ass
like cat. So we established that this is an alien planet and a society we've never seen before. There's this like cat-like thing that kind of looks like a pom-pom slinky animal.
It's like
It's all red.
Like
like someone took
looked like an
Elmo
energy.
and stretched him out like a lot. Like
It was like an energy
long neck
cat.
added
yeah,
a tail.
it was like
Yeah.
a electric Elmo cat,
Yeah.
yeah.
and it kind of slinkies its way across the screen. And then we're like, okay, and we're here.
And then Tetsuro goes to a bar because why
yeah.
not?
Yeah, so he walks
Saloon.
into this bar and orders milk, and a bunch of people
Well,
laugh
there's
at him.
there's
Very
there's that music interlude that happens
Oh
too.
yeah, that weird glowy lady with the.
With the guitar.
Oh, yeah.
That makes
Yeah.
everybody in
So
the
you see
brothel
this sad lady that also has Maytel's face, because they all do, because she's pretty, and she sings a sad song on her guitar.
It reminded me kind of like Gina from Porco Rosso.
yeah,
a
it
little
was
bit.
kind of a lounge song thing, and it was like
Yeah.
this bar scene where everyone's quiet and
You said
listening
it
to
sounded
her.
like Enka almost.
It does. Like, it's this really
song
sad
sounds like
melodramatic
it, yeah.
song, and
Yeah.
it's 70s, so it sounds like Enka to me.
Yeah. Which I'm not familiar with Enka, so I was like, oh, sure.
Enka
okay.
is like a cross between Japanese like country music, where you're sad about like losing your dog and your wife and your house and whatever,
Jesus.
like crossed with like Las Vegas.
Okay.
You know what I'm talking
I
about,
know
Ed?
exactly what you're talking about.
Okay. So yeah, orders milk, wants to kill Count Mecha.
Yeah,
He blurts out Count Mecha, and everybody's like,
He gets taken into a back room by the old dude.
yeah.
with
The
hairnet.
bartender's like, what did you say? And he's like, I'm here to kill Count Mecha. And he's like, oh well, you got to get out of here. Like, don't worry, I'll cover you.
But
Yeah.
you must go to
"There's a
Mount Gun Frontier.
there's a man that lives at the base of Mount Gun Frontier,
Yeah, and
Who
he
knows?
will. Yeah,
where the time castle is going
Yeah.
to appear."
yeah. God,
Who
this
knows
is
how
the
he
worst
knows
fetch
this.
quest ever.
Right?
for real.
That's when we meet Tochiro. Though we do
I
get
was gonna
that,
say he
like, weird-
also that's when he steals a
motorized penny farthing.
Yeah, a rocket powered like penny farthing bicycle.
bicycle.
And then he starts to ride it across the desert to this mountain, and then
Which-
it inevitably breaks along the way. And he's like, "Oh, a piece of crap."
With how a penny farthing works, I don't think you can even ride it unless it's on like smooth asphalt or
Yeah.
concrete anyway.
No.
So riding it on a fucking dirt road with rocks, pebbles, and other random
with
debris,
rockets strapped
with
to
the
it.
rockets,
No
yeah.
wonder it blows up.
Right?
Yeah.
That's not a good. That you
Also,
can't do that. with penny
I don't think
farthing.
you can complain about the mode of transport if you steal it.
Right?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, he was like, "What a
should've-
piece of junk."
Could have stolen something better. So he gets to the base of Mount Gun Frontier.
Which is not a, or is it a mountain?
Well, technically, no. There is a mountain. It's just this giant ship is in front of that mountain.
Oh, okay.
I remember the ship. I don't remember actually seeing
Because
it.
later on,
It
he has
looks
to go
kinda
to the
flat there.
later on he has to go to the other side of Mount Gun Frontier, and you see him actually climbing.
So anyway, we
Every
meet
time you
this
say
guy
that,
who
I'm
lives
gonna
at the
laugh.
base of Mount Gun Frontier.
Like how we're all saying all of the words in this name. Like we're not
so
shortening it or anything.
absurd.
How would you
Well,
short?
but
It's
at
the
least
why
other
is it
guy.
Can we have Disneyland build that for Frontierland? Mount Gun
Gun Frontier.
Oh, no.
That's gonna be the new Star
would it be
Wars
a
section.
giant
the
ship in
Tokyo
front of it?
Disney. Tokyo Disney should do that.
Oh shit, that'd be great.
Mount gun.
So anyway,
don't think
we
Disney would sign
we
off
meet
on
this
where
guy who
Big
lives
Thunder
at the
Mountain
base
is,
of
Mount
this
Gun Frontierland.
damn mountain, and it turns
In
out
his-
that
in his
he-
giant ship.
Yeah, well, the guy who lives at the base of the mountain bears a strong resemblance to our potato child because he
He's also short
has,
and squatty.
Yeah, and he has
And
this
is wearing
similar
the same
kind of
outfit.
cape and a hat. Like they both basically look like different color variations of each other. So
I'm
yeah.
you from the future.
Yeah, for real.
They're
And
one
he
player
shows up
and
and
two
he's
player
like,
forms.
"Oh, I've been looking for someone. Oh, I see your hat is like mine. Like, oh,
Like, I
your
met
mother
your
was
mom."
looking for you. Yeah."
Well,
Thanks.
screw her.
I'm gonna go die now.
I'm gonna go
Yeah.
die.
So he's like, "Oh, I'm never gonna go back there. Also, I'm dying like this
he
very minute.
contracted-
Yeah.
Good thing you arrived."
He contracted a very serious and deadly space illness.
Yeah, it was galactic.
A
disease.
galactic,
Very rare and
disease.
very
Yeah.
vague.
So he's like, "I'm gonna die right now, and you gotta help me."
Please
Well,
pull this lever.
He has the exposition of like, I was gonna go after Count Mecha myself.
But I have
But
this
I'm
terrible
now
space
sick.
disease.
All
So
of the
pull this
orphans he
lever.
murdered.
Like, what?
Or all the orphans he created. It's like,
The castle will
Yeah.
appear at midnight on the other side of the mountain.
Yeah.
But
So-
I can't make
Now
it
I'm
that
gonna die.
long.
So he
Please
like
pull this lever.
yeah, he goes up on his little like Frankenstein platform, and then
This is bad.
yeah.
But it was
Yeah,
like
yeah,
a
but it was up
pull
on
the
a Frank-
lever.
And
Pull the lever.
Tetsuro's like, no!
but he pulls the lever
You
anyway.
don't even know what the lever does.
Yeah.
I'm
with
I'm
this
just
creepy
wondering-
bird with no neck.
If
Oh,
if,
yeah.
if
Little
Tetsuro
skinny.
didn't show up, who was gonna pull the lever for
The bird.
torture?
For
He's gonna
real.
yell at the bird.
Was he gonna
for-
get the bird? Was he gonna try to pull the lever himself and then run up
Run
to
up
the
there
bed
really quick.
somehow?
He did get up there pretty quickly.
Stubby little legs.
did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm so ill and decrepit, but I can scale a
No,
6-foot ladder in 2
No,
seconds.
that was like
Yeah, that was like a couple stories.
12 feet. That was like at least 12 feet.
the only reason he died was because Tetsuro showed up. He's like, okay, now I can let go because
Yeah.
somebody will pull this damn lever.
That's true. Yeah, I guess he's been trying to train his pet
he
bird this whole time
He
to pull the
only had
lever.
to make it to midnight. Come
Shit.
on, man.
Is that why the bird has the band-aid on? Because he was like, I was trying to pull levers and I broke my beak.
Oh,
Bird abuse.
Oh, poor
Bird
bird. I feel
abuse.
sorry
so
for the bird now.
he gets disintegrated in this beam of light, saying, "I'm gonna go elsewhere." And
Yeah,
Gonna
saying,
journey the stars.
this will help him stand up again by killing him. That's the worst assisted suicide ever.
Yeah, well, admittedly, later on we find out what the whole
Yeah,
idea behind
yeah.
it was. And it sort of makes sense, but he doesn't explain any of this right now.
No.
he's just like, "Hey,
doesn't tell
kid,
Tetsuro
I
anything.
could have tried to get revenge for you, but I'm gonna let you go and try to murder somebody. Good luck."
Yeah.
Although
You do
everybody
it.
literally tells him, "Oh, you shouldn't go. You're gonna die." Like
Right?
everybody tells him.
Well, and also he gets told several times by multiple people, like, if you see Count Mecha, like, don't give him a chance, like, don't talk to him, just shoot him right away. Shoot him in the face.
head. Shoot him in the head.
Shoot him in the head. Shoot him. Grab the shotgun. You didn't need to load it. Did that
Bitch,
shit
this ain't a
for you.
cutscene. Press A.
So and this is the most egregious of, I'm gonna send this little kid to go murder somebody. Where we see he made a little burial ground for what's his name?
Tochiro.
Tochiro.
And then we see Han.
Not yet.
Isn't that right after?
No, we see him get beat the fuck up.
Oh,
by
yeah,
a
you're
whole
right.
bunch of other bandits who
right.
followed him.
All right, yeah.
Oh.
And
Who
this was like
were in that bar.
yeah, this was
the bandits from the bar came to
a
find
pretty
him.
terrible fight scene. Not because it was animated poorly. You just see Tetsuro getting like hit from various angles by like ethereal limbs appearing out of nowhere.
He gets kicked
In the
square
balls.
in the balls.
Yeah. Which, doing that to a kid, usually it's the other way around. Usually it's the kid who does that to escape the adults. So
yeah.
this felt...
Yeah, it was
No,
kinda,
this is just like
it was kind of cringe where they
Tetsuro
could just
getting
like,
a beat
oh,
down.
if they didn't drop, they will never drop now.
They were probably like robots too, so
They were.
it wasn't.
They were
just like
mechanized.
they were cyborgs.
It was a it was a
Oh no.
mechanically powered kick.
Oh yeah.
And he's like super bloody
We're all
and
hoping
beaten up.
that this
and
child
everything
won't
like that.
ever reproduce.
Yeah. They take his gun, and he's like, I gotta go back and get my gun.
Yeah.
And then we see...
So he goes back to the bar where he's bloody and beaten, sees the
Yeah.
guys, and they're laughing at him. It's like, Psh, why'd you come back? And then we see
Harlock.
Yeah, Captain Harlock, which is like so. Emeraldus was like the first major cameo that I noticed, and this was the second one. And I've never even seen Captain Harlock, but I'm just like, oh look, the main characters of their own series have appeared here because their character designs are so much more interesting
They're
than
super,
anybody else.
They're also super iconic.
Yeah,
character
yeah,
designs.
yeah. So
Yeah.
Captain
Like, well, to be
Harlock
fair, like-
shows up and he's like, I'm gonna order some milk, and then I'm gonna pour it down this robot's throat, and he's like, no, but I'll rust.
It's the lactose
Yeah,
intolerant.
no,
thug.
really, this was the best. Like when Karen told me that in the dub he's listed as the lactose intolerant robot.
I was looking up the credits and I was like, wait, this is lactose intolerant thug. Okay.
Yeah, I was like,
I know
who's
exactly who that
lactose
is.
intolerant thug? Then watching it, like, oh.
Oh yeah, the one who can't have.
One who's like, no, milk,
poured-
no.
Yeah.
It will rust me somehow.
But see, okay, the reason that Harlock is there is like he somehow magically gets the signal that his friend died.
Yeah, well,
Oh yeah, and everybody
when Toshiro dies,
stereotypically
like,
grandma's
shows up.
still petting her cat on the
grandma's
porch.
petting the cat on the porch, but like his picture falls down inside
Yeah,
the house, and like
they
she
all
knows.
get weird.
the
like,
thing is, like,
psychic
they do show her
sensations.
petting the cat. She doesn't actually
She doesn't react.
She's
Yeah.
still just petting the cat
Yeah,
after
she's
the
like,
picture falls.
okay,
But
'cause
like
he's dead
Emeraldus
now.
knows because
Yeah.
this was like the man that she
She loved.
loved. Apparently,
Apparently,
I guess that's why
spoilers,
she's got a
also
soft
has
spot for
kid with-
potatoes.
Apparently, she also has a kid with him. So
Is that in her
Oh.
own series?
it's in either Harlock or her series.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah.
Okay.
And
But
then
yeah,
we
it's
also
like,
see
who
Harlock.
knows where they were in the galaxy. Apparently
Yeah.
close because suddenly
Oh, yeah.
they weren't close enough to know where he was, but
They couldn't find him.
They ended up landing on the planet where he was at anyway.
Yeah.
Well, there was also a giant beam of light that shot out too.
Yeah.
Sure.
So,
Yeah, that
But
helps.
but again, they'd have to be like near that planet to.
yeah.
It's okay.
You would think.
There's a lot of empty space between Pluto and Andromeda or wherever the
Yeah.
Where the hell they
Well,
are.
they never actually ended up.
Trader's Fork.
Wherever Trader's
Yeah, you
Fork
know.
is, they didn't say what planet it is. So yeah.
Yeah.
Karen did ask while we were watching, like, where is Harlock? Like when he turns around, I'm like, that's a good question because I don't know. I assumed he was bumming a ride with Emeraldus
But apparently not
because
because
he didn't have a ship. He was just like
Yeah.
hanging around wherever. Bum fuck all.
That's all right. So
Like
even
the
after
hero
he
shows up late every time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't have a ship, so I literally hitchhiked over here.
even after he saves Tetsuro, then Tetsuro's like, okay, midnight's coming, I'm gonna kill him, and he goes off alone.
Yeah, and Harlock's
He's
like,
like, you
Harlock's
shouldn't
like,
do
you
that.
shouldn't do this. Are you sure you want to do it? It's like, yeah. Okay.
You're
Okay, you're just gonna let
okay.
him go,
You're
Harlock.
gonna
Good luck.
die.
Good luck with that.
Harlock's not like, oh, let me do this for you because you're a stupid kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, right?
All right.
You're a badass pirate. What the fuck are you doing letting a 12-year-old go kill a robot?
She's got to learn to be a man sometime.
Yeah.
I get, yeah,
That's the theme of this,
That's
right?
I feel like the theme is supposed to be Tetsuro becomes a man, but really he's still a potato child by the end of it.
Yeah.
It's just like he's killed some people.
He's done about everything except for sleep with somebody. So
That's
you know,
true.
That's when Harlock tells Emeraldus that Tochiro passed away, and she's just like, fuck
the
all. Yeah, that's the weirdest.
180 turn. Goodbye.
You don't even get the 180 turn. We get the like dramatic like stinger music that
Like,
should have
he's
like a
dead.
reaction, and she's already walking away.
Yeah.
like,
no
I knew it.
reaction. No
I knew it.
face.
I'm sorry, but he's dead. Okay, goodbye.
Bye. Guess she's walking away.
But wait, I had more to tell you.
Yeah.
And
Don't
she's like,
wanna
nope,
hear it.
nope, I'm
Don't
done.
care. My beloved.
No.
Every time they had either the subtitle or the audio where it has her say "beloved," I'm just can't help but think of like Talia al Ghul from Batman the Animated Series because she always calls Batman beloved the entire time.
So Tetsuro makes it into
Yeah, so
Count
he
Mecha's
finds
castle.
the time castle, which is
Time
literally
castle.
this floating castle with a bunch of clocks on the outside.
so bad.
Time castle.
Kind of
What
looked
time
like
is it?
It kind of looked like
Depends
it was
on
floating
the
like an alien
scenario.
ship too. Like,
Yeah.
it didn't really have like
Well,
a
it looks
bottom.
like the clocks
kinda
are
was,
keeping
like,
it
floating.
afloat.
Yeah.
It looks like a flying saucer with clocks
Yeah.
pasted on it.
The inside is also ridiculous.
Yeah.
It has
some random
skulls
chasms
just
and
strewn all over.
Yeah, it's like Tetsuro's like climbing some stairs and there's just some like skulls strewn
It's
about on the
like
ground like
he's
rose petals.
in a lost
And the
level
lights
of.
on the wall
Yeah.
are also skulls.
It's like he's
Yeah.
in a lost level of Ico or something.
Oh my god.
Just trying
Yeah, I'm
to.
just like,
It's like a
who's
Mega
this
Man
guy's decorator?
castle.
And at this point, we've only seen one person in this entire castle.
I know.
Yeah.
Working
One
a
guy,
forklift
no
in a
Yeah,
cloak.
there's one guy, with a forklift on the loading dock, and then the whole rest of the place is
We
empty.
get this whole like everybody's telling him, you're gonna die, don't try to go to the time castle, the count's gonna kill you, you're gonna die. Literally one person in this castle, and he's in the warehouse until
Yeah.
you get to the main room, and then there's like, oh okay, there's more people here, but there's still only like 5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there he is. There's Count Mecha.
Well, don't
there's
we get to
also
see like
your
that,
Like right before that, we see
we get that
He
surprise.
has a nice little trophy over his blue fireplace. I wonder what that can be. Oh, mommy?
no.
Yeah, it's the body of Tetsuro's mother.
Oh, no.
They like
Taxidermy.
taxidermied her and mounted her on the wall.
Gross.
Yeah, it's really bizarre.
Taxidero.
At least the taxidermist had enough class to put her hair in front of her boobs.
Yeah, that's true.
Dennis.
Really
Dennis is
classy.
shaking his head.
Like, is it really classy?
No,
Well, it's better than showing the boobs.
terrible. You shouldn't mount naked torsos on your walls.
It's like the classroom thing would have been to not have it at like showing the like.
I mean, the classier thing is not to hunt humans.
That
but,
too.
you know.
Yeah.
Like it actually is like from her pelvis up too,
Yeah.
right? Like
Yeah.
it's very deep. Like you see at least her.
Didn't
belly
someone
button.
say, is that a painting? And they're like, no, that's actually her body sticking out of the
Yeah.
wall. Oh, okay.
Oh, boy.
And that's when Count Mecha comes and is like, "Do you like my trophy? I show it off all the time." It's like, okay.
Yeah, and honestly, I'm like, who is this woman to Count Mecha? Really?
I also think this is the well, he just like
Just the
in the
most
flashback is like,
beautiful
"Oh, this is the most beautiful,
bodies.
yeah, like person
Beautiful
I've ever
human
hunted."
I've ever seen.
I think this is like the 4th or 5th time that we actually see the gun get shot out of Tetsuro's hand.
It's amazing that the gun still works at this point.
It's amazing that no one's blown off his hand.
that too.
They are crack shots when they're aiming at guns. They suck when they're aiming at actual people.
Yeah. And also, like, I want to talk a minute about how all of the Count Mecha and his henchmen, their character designs are basically this, like, robot face with a bunch of gauges in the face and then blonde
There's
hair.
no, like,
and, like, a
It's
pink
like-
suit.
It's like Saga almost.
Yeah, it's really weird. I guess mechanization,
even
like, some
more
people still look
creative.
like people and some people just look like... I
These guys
forgot what a
want-
face
like-
looks like, so I'm just going to put some gauges here.
They
Yeah.
look like the
Camera
Prince
lenses
version of
face.
He-Man, but robots.
Yeah, and I'm just like, why the blonde hair? Really? Like, what is this?
Why the purple suit?
Why
Why
hair?
does everybody have the same suit? What is going on here?
I guess he's a count, so it must be some kind of sign of royalty.
I guess.
And
I don't know.
also,
Doesn't matter very long.
yeah, it's
Yeah, there starts a firefight, and you're like, whoa, wait.
Yeah, guess who
Guys-
shows up to help?
In a
know
cloak. Guess who was in the cloak on the loading dock?
yeah.
We get Antares. to
Antares.
show up.
That.
I'm like,
Managed
what?
to make it all the way from his bandit.
How did
planet all the
you
way
get here that fast?
And he got
Hey.
on the time castle at the right time.
Did he
He
have his
didn't
own
have
ship?
to wait the 4 days on the plane.
Oh, yeah.
That also is a lot of fuel he has to use too. I'm like,
It's
how-
okay.
Oh, he got there somehow. Whatever. Maybe he hitchhiked
he
on
was
the train.
Firefight breaks
He was
out.
hopping the space rails. Just-
Yeah, yeah.
A firefight breaks out, and they take shelter behind a wooden table, even though lasers are
Because that's
blasting
a
through it.
smart,
Yeah.
smart place to hide.
Maybe they just won't guess where we are.
Even though they
Yeah.
shot like right in front of his face. So you're
Yeah.
like, oh.
Should also mention the guitar lady. What's her name?
Yeah, guitar lady is there.
Ryozo or something? Ryozu?
Guitar lady. She was there as
Ryuzu.
well.
Ryuzu. Okay.
Ryuzu.
From the bar. Yeah.
Yes,
She's there.
Sad lady who makes the hookers
Yeah, the sad
cry.
guitar lady is actually like, yeah, Count Mecha's
like-
crony.
Well, she loves him.
like his
Was his love
favorite.
interest?
Yeah.
Well, like she works for him and with him, somehow.
I don't, it's kind of what we do find out it's mostly against her will. So I guess it's
Yeah,
more like
well,
just-
apparently, like, she can control time, which is how the time capsule functions, but she's kind of doing it under
Reluctant.
protest.
Yeah. It's kind of weird because like she's saying like, oh, like he turned my body into this so I can control the time stuff and he can use me. But she very easily in that scene is like, no, I'm not going to help you.
Oh yeah. Well, before that, we have the shootout, and then the shootout lasts for like 30 seconds, and then the count's like, "Run away!" And you're like, but I thought you were supposed to be the scary dude that you're not supposed to go up
I
against.
thought he was winning.
He ran away.
Yeah.
And then he's
To the
like,
fireplace.
then he's like, move time faster, move time faster. Has this barrier
Series of
wall
levers.
go down?
Yeah, there's a barrier that protects him
It's
from
in a
getting shot
circle.
with
He's, like,
lasers.
in
But he
the
can shoot
inside
out
of it.
from it.
He can
Yeah.
shoot from inside of
It's
a
the
barrier.
whole, it's the whole one-way barrier thing. That's
Yes,
all.
'cause that's
Oh,
the
yeah,
thing
that
that
thing.
exists.
One-way mirror for lasers.
Yeah.
And then
Sure,
he, like,
sure.
keeps on
And they can
saying,
talk
move.
at each other through it.
And then the bandit dude.
Yeah, and Tari shows up and is like, I'm
gets
going to walk
shot.
towards this barrier, and I got all these bullets in my body, and I'm going to make
Well, he
him
got
explode.
shot once, like in the
Somehow.
heart or in the chest,
Uh-huh.
and so he's like, "Well, I'm just gonna keep walking forward."
Until I blow up.
Because
And
the
then-
kid never listens to the advice to shoot the count in
Right.
the
Yeah.
head as soon
Yeah.
as he sees him.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Because he
right.
blows
Like-
off the count's arm
right.
first.
Yeah, and then the
arm's
count's like, "Oh,
no, you shot me.
Yeah, and then,
He's
oh, no,
like,
I
oh, no,
tricked
I
you.
shot him.
Is that him
I'm
not
behind this
listening
barrier.
to everyone else's advice or him just being a terrible shot because he just
Well-
learned how
Both.
to
Well, the
shoot?
count
Perhaps
goes on
both.
like,
'Cause-
oh, I'm so pitiful now. Look what you've done to me. I can't
Oh, yeah,
fight
that's
back.
right.
And then he shoots him.
Yeah.
Like,
And then, like,
Yeah.
haha,
And then even
I fooled you.
before that, when they're talking, they're like, "Do you like my trophy room?" Like, "You killed my mom. I've killed many people. I don't know who you are." Blah 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 blah.
Yeah, that would have
And
been
it's
an excellent time to shoot him in the
good
head.
time to shoot right there.
just
He even
shoot
gets
him in the
told
head.
by Antari, he's like, "Told you, you got to shoot him in the head. Don't let him talk."
Shoot him in the
Yeah.
head. Shoot him. Grab the shotgun.
So eventually, like, yeah, Antares blows up himself onto the barrier and breaks it, and Ryuzu is like,
then the count gets shot in the head.
Yeah.
yes, yeah, and Ryuzu's like, I am going to bring this whole thing down. Like, I'm done here.
Yeah.
Everything
But
starts
first,
rusting.
gonna
Including
get
herself,
naked.
Like accelerates time.
Something
Yeah.
like that. So everything is sort of rusting and getting destroyed,
Everything
except
starts
for
rusting.
her Tetsuro.
Except for
And her
Tetsuro.
face.
Yeah,
Her face is
face.
fine.
Well, we gotta let them stay pretty, don't we?
Yes.
yes. Especially since she's naked.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, well, although
Moneymaker.
by naked, it's like she sort of turned her body into a bikini of gauges.
Yeah. But let's be real. Those
You
gauges
know a
were in
good
very
place to put a
strategic
clock?
positions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, a good place to put a clock right on the left tit.
Hey,
Real classy.
equal opportunity though. That henchman in the bar had like
He did
ports
have
in
some
his,
on
where his
his. Yeah.
nipples should be, right?
No, he had him like on top of his chest and in his belly button.
right.
Also on the
like
nipples, though.
strategically
Was it
placed.
on the nipple?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was on the nipples,
Okay,
but
then.
at the same time, it was not played for the same.
No.
Yeah.
You
He
know
was
what?
not
the,
a
the gear,
demographic.
the gear thing in the belly button just made me think of those dolls that have the screw, and the screw is always like inserted in further, and so
What?
that's
What?
just suddenly.
What
I'm trying to think
are
of
you
what
talking
I'm trying to
about?
think. I mean, it's not.
Let
like
me go with
not
something
like a
better
play
instead.
doll.
Like
The
wind-up dolls?
lactose intolerant thug with the little like hole gauge in the belly button reminded me of like the hollows from or the Aran car from Bleach. Where they have all those holes.
Well, it's
in
like
their
basically
belly
everybody's an
stuff.
innie. Like whatever
Yeah.
should be out was an innie because there was a gauge in it.
Oh.
I guess it wasn't like a doll. It's like some
Anyway.
kind of thing you put
No idea.
together.
The whole
but it's like
castle
an
falls apart.
inserted
Castle falls
screw,
apart.
'cause it's like
And
inside.
Tetsuro manages to escape. I mean, it's not like he's gonna rust, but everything around him is rusting. I guess
Yeah,
he was
well,
just
the
trying.
whole thing's falling
long
apart
sequence
around
of
him.
running.
I guess he was just trying to not fall from a great height with the castle being suspended in the air.
Did any
Yeah.
of the other bandits escape?
Were there other bandits?
There were other
Was it
bandits.
just
There
the
were
Or was it
three?
just him? He had like
Atari's
some
had
people
a
with
I
him.
through
think
with
they
him
got
during,
shot.
during that first firefight.
Oh, they didn't make it out then.
They didn't make
I
it.
think they got
I'm
shot.
just now
They
noticing
must
that.
have all died during that.
And then Harlock
Good job,
shows
Tetsuro.
up finally.
Yeah, Harlock shows up right at the
Harlock
end.
with
Shows up late.
Maytel.
Oh, he.
show up.
But before he, just going back a little bit, before he blows himself up, he gives Tetsuro a little cryptic message.
Oh, yeah.
Of not to trust.
Yeah, don't
Mattel.
trust Maytel.
Yeah.
He's like, everything is Mattel's fault. Don't trust her. Boom.
Is it Maytel or Mattel? Because
Maytel.
It's Maytel.
now I'm thinking
Maytel.
of the toys. Mattel.
Mattel.
brand.
Maytel.
Yes, don't
That's
trust
when we get
the girl that's traveled with
Maytel
you.
and
Right.
Harlock showing up like, hey, guess what? Now your vengeance is done. You good?
He's like, no.
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 Time to
It's
destroy
not-
where
it's-
the robot bodies come
Yeah,
from.
it's like
not
I'm going
like-
to destroy all
Yeah.
mechanized people because they're all evil.
It's not like Inigo Montoya of like, now what do I do? It's like, no, he knows exactly what he has to do now.
Yeah. Well, it's
commit
interesting. Like,
robo-genocide.
Robo-genocide.
Robot genocide time.
He wanted to become one, and then he shot
Now
one.
he's like,
and then
they're
went
all
Now
out.
he's like,
evil.
no one can become one.
Yeah.
Not
Yeah.
if I can help it.
And Harlock's like,
I mean,
okay.
I get it on like a
Can't catch on the
metaphorical
flip side,
level that
kid.
it's like, oh, he thought that he had to become this like strong emotionless thing to accomplish his goals, and then he realized no, becoming strong and emotionless is actually what is bad,
bad.
for humanity and society.
Yeah.
And I get that on a metaphorical level, but really, what he's actually saying is genocide.
Yeah. But also, like, when he was giving that big speech where he's like, oh, I found out what humanity is really about. It's about, raising other people up when they're down. And it's just like, where did you learn this?
Yeah, when did you learn
When
this?
did you learn this?
Because he grew up on the rails now.
On the
Growing
rails.
up on the rails.
On the journey.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah, whatever.
No, you don't get to make a speech about how you
Hey, the man
seen
had
the
some
best
steak.
in
Now he
humanity.
knows how.
Yeah,
well
but
the-
did he?
He actually didn't eat it.
I'm pretty
Yeah,
sure.
you
I'm
cut
pretty sure
into
that
it.
steak fell on the floor because he
think so,
doesn't
too.
understand how to use
Oh
a knife.
yeah,
I think so
yeah.
too.
So of course they get back on the train, and the next stop is where they want to go.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We
the
get
next
this-
stop is
we
like
get
the final stop.
creepiest underage drinking scene ever.
Oh yeah.
Oh God,
Like, what
yeah.
the hell is
Celebrate
happening?
your victory.
With
Yeah,
this-
have this giant glass of wine.
Yeah,
child.
which he downed.
As
She
Caitlin
knocks
grabs her
back
glass of wine.
Like
Yeah.
a shot.
He
Caitlin will now
downs the
reproduce
entire
for
glass.
us. Glug.
And then that's
Yeah,
when
glug.
we get like the weird thing of like, Maytel, after all this is done, I'd like to stay with you for a while. And the Maytel's like, oh no, he has feelings.
Oh no, he has a
Her,
feeling.
her reaction is flip the hair. Oh,
Yeah, flip the hair and look away and don't answer.
Yeah, she suddenly gets slightly flirtier, which is a
Yeah.
little weird. Like she's sort of been standoffish-ish, but then suddenly at the
Well,
end,
and then he
she's
even
like,
notices,
"Here,
he's like,
flip."
Maytel, you're acting kind of differently. And she's like, oh, haha. Like,
Also, you
let's
never
not
gave
answer
an
that
answer,
either.
Maytel.
Because the journey is coming to an end, and I'm so relieved that we're almost to the end of it.
To Andromeda.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Andromeda.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then he passes out on the.
Well, let me ask this question because I was confused about the whole way. Did they actually go to Andromeda? Because the mechanized planet was named something else.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
it's apparently in
think
Andromeda.
In the Andromeda
Yeah, I think
I
galaxy.
think what it is
right?
was that space tunnel because they
That's
were
what
talking
I'm
about it's
thinking.
Put them
dimensional.
in
Yeah, it
Andro-
was they were in
Ah, okay.
Pluto, and then the dimensional
Oh.
tunnel put them in the other galaxy.
I think it
makes
said
sense.
that it ends in Andromeda.
Although that's a weird train trip if it goes from Earth specifically to the.
The next.
Yeah, until basically.
Well,
Well, I
It
suppose
does.
only rich
delivery
people go.
system
Yeah,
for-
They explain why it has to go there.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
that's true. Because like
So
only
it turns
rich people
out
can go on it anyway.
Andromeda,
That's
or at least the last stop for the Galaxy Express 39 is actually on Planet Maytel.
Oh.
Dun, dun,
By the way, if you didn't hear it,
What?
it was Planet Maytel.
Dun dun dun.
And also, you're arriving at Planet Maytel.
That's right.
Dun, dun, dun.
They mention it like 5 times.
Yes.
Yeah, but
we're
I
now
think
arriving.
like Tetsuro is passed out during all those
Mamonaku.
announcements.
No. Tetsuro was passed out when the conductor says they're going on Planet Maytel. After they disembark the ship, there's like, you have now arrived at Planet Maytel. Welcome to Planet Maytel. This is the last stop of the trip, Planet Maytel.
Enjoy your
That's
stay.
what, that's,
Maytel.
that's what Ed was trying to go, and that's
Yeah,
when
that's
Tetsuro's
true.
like, what?
Why is the planet named after you?
Why?
And then we get some robot officers, I'm going to assume.
Yeah,
And
it's
they're
like
like,
the second time
welcome,
she's been
Your
Welcome,
Highness.
Bum bum bum.
Oh no!
Turns out that Maytel, sorry, is the princess of all
Well, to be
mechanized
fair,
robots.
Mattel, Barbie, sure.
Vegeta.
She's kind of
Yeah.
a Barbie doll.
She is very Barbie doll.
She is this universe's Vegeta. She's the prince of all.
Princess of all.
Only
Yeah,
she
so
was
she's
just
the
cool.
princess of the whole planet.
Soon I
so
will
they all
be
defer to her,
princess
and it
of
was interesting
summer.
how like the robot welcoming committee is like, oh look, this young man has shown like great courage and resilience, and we would totally welcome him.
Protected our
Except he totally
princess.
killed Count Mecha, so now we're gonna punish him.
Count
It's
Mecha
really
was our
weird. 'Cause,
hero.
like, hey, we were, surveilling you. We had surveillance on you this whole time, and you have great courage and conviction, and we're super happy with you. But you killed our hero, so fuck you. You're going to become a cog.
Although it sounds like that maybe the
Oh,
reward.
a bolt, right? He was going to become a bolt.
Well, at first, they're just like, you're going to be part of the
Yeah,
the
mission
world,
of
the
the
machine.
planet. Oh, he's
and
going to be
we're
a
gonna turn you
literal
into a bolt.
cog. Nope, it's going to be a bolt. Okay.
The what?
It kind of sounded like the reward for being courageous and brave was also to become
Was
a mecha part of this
mechanized,
plasma.
yeah.
Right? 'Cause
Well,
they're
maybe
later
like
on,
they
they're
would
like,
mechanize you, and you would be free to go about your way as a mechanized person.
Yeah.
Maybe.
But
maybe.
this is like, no, we're
Maybe.
gonna trap you here, and you will work on behalf of the planet for the rest of your days.
Yeah. Yep.
That sucks.
All I want to know is why is the princess going on these fetch quests for these humans?
Well, she's the one who's been bringing.
Yeah, but
sabotage.
why do they let her?
She's got to
They're
level
like,
up somehow.
Okay.
Because
She's
the planet
grinding for
needs
XP.
the souls to
True.
survive. So
Part
they
of me is
send
also
her out
wondering,
to
like,
get-
is she only getting
send
guys? Or all the
somebody
people
out?
is she getting
Yeah, I'm wondering, like,
guys who
volunteer.
fall
Who
in
has
love
she
with her?
recruited up till now? Like, who all has
How
come
many
to
people
the,
has she
No
recruited?
details.
the planet with
Because we
Maytel?
also
None.
don't know how old she is. Like, we know
Just
how
that
old
she's
she's
been
supposed
doing
to
it
be.
for a long
Well,
time.
she's been doing it for long
she's
enough.
been
'cause she says
changing
that she,
bodies,
yeah,
too.
She exchanges bodies when her body gets too old.
Yeah.
And then when do we
So
get the,
actually,
the
so
last
I guess like
story drop?
Like,
does she have a human
end.
body? So she kind of has like a clone body.
Yeah.
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 It's
So
a
that would
cloned
make sense
body.
why she doesn't appear as a robot on the robot
Okay.
She
scanner.
still has
We're
a skeleton.
We're getting ahead.
skipping a couple steps in
Yeah.
that she is bringing humans to the planet to
Turn
take
them into
part,
parts.
turn into parts to make the planet work and survive. They need human souls.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then her body is a clone of.
Well, that's later.
We were talking about clone bodies, so it's like her body ends up being reason why she looks like his mom because she's a
It's
clone.
not
not
just
because the
because of
character
lazy
designer's lazy.
Matsumoto's character designs.
Yeah, it's like she's actually supposed to resemble his mom strongly and intentionally.
Yeah.
Because she is.
She's a clone of his
body.
mom.
Yeah.
Well, the body's yeah.
Yeah,
I was
the
just
body,
like,
the
I
body
feel
is
like I
a
saw
clone
this
of
with
the mom.
Evan
Somehow.
Jellian too, and that was also disturbing back then.
We meet Queen Prometheum, who rules over all of
Rules the
Cybertron.
planet.
Like a galaxy
Cybertron.
galaxy body. I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually,
She and
her character
Wiseman could
design
have a
was
lot to
cool.
talk about.
It's weird where it's like, I'm going to name my daughter after the planet. And it's funny because she's like, soul daughter, Maytel. I'm like, isn't Emeraldus also your daughter? Because that's supposed to be a thing too.
Oh, really?
no.
Yeah.
Well,
I did not know that.
I don't know.
That
there
was-
was a weird.
that was
there
not
was a weird like.
It's
her,
not in this,
revealed
but
at all.
like
her dad
in,
was human. I guess.
Oh, really?
As a
Well,
doctor
that was
dude.
before,
Doctor.
yeah. So we've been hearing this random voice at times.
the
and we're
one
like,
from the shower.
Is that a
Oh.
Shower
narrator?
yeah, I was like, is it a narrator voice?
But no, it turns out that the spirit of Maytel's dad
Dr. Bond,
is in this thing that she carries,
her necklace.
a pendant necklace.
yeah.
The one that
And-
she showered in.
It looks
Yeah.
kind of like a little heart with a gauge on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he and the Queen Prometheum had not agreed on the direction of their race, I guess. So she was all pro mechanization and he was against it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Maytel's been working with him to bring these, to insert themselves into the machinery of the world so that
Who
at
all-
some designated time they could use the energy in the pendant to blow up the entire planet.
Yeah, so
and
like
all these
she's
people volunteered. Or
yeah, she's been
something.
seeding all of these people as like martyrs, as pieces of the
She's-
planet who
she's
will
kind
then
of like
help the
Grim
planet
Reaper
self-destruct
almost.
Yeah.
on her
Almost
say
like
so.
what?
The Grim Reaper.
Sort
Yeah.
of.
Because she's bringing all these people on this like mystical, magical journey on this train to their death, pretty
Yeah.
much.
We have a
But
very flowery
I feel
version
like-
of Grim Reaper.
I feel like
She also
was
dresses in all
probably
black.
More straight with these people than
Yeah.
she was with Tetsuro. She's probably like, "Here's the deal. I'd like you to be a bolt or whatever the fuck, in order to later explode and kill off
Yeah.
mechanized humans or mechanized robot people." And they were probably like, "Well, that sucks, but okay, sure."
Admittedly, though, it would help him accomplish his goal of like stopping mechanization.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it's very
But-
convenient.
Those are the people that she's like, "Hey, here's what's
Yeah,
going down."
all these
Yeah.
martyrs.
Like, okay.
Like she literally called them all martyrs for the cause.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
oh, Jesus.
Yeah.
she
How,
ha- so-
how many bolts and screws and cogs and shit
Hey,
did she bring?
It takes a lot to blow up a planet.
Yeah,
like that.
we got a whole planet we're talking about here.
Yes.
So she has this pendant in her hands, and apparently all she has to do is like throw it into the core.
Yeah.
And her
Yeah.
Dad.
her
made
dad
it
is
so that it
monologuing
was-
at the queen the entire time.
Yeah.
And
literally.
while all this is happening, in comes Captain Harlock.
Yeah.
Well, she's also
But
having like
he's
second
somewhere
thoughts
else. Yeah.
after
but
martyring
Maytel, like,
all these
can't
people.
move.
Yeah, seriously.
So it's like when it comes time to actually execute on this plan, she can't bring herself to do it, and
Well,
her
she
mom
says
is like
something
monologuing
it's
at
the
her.
it's like the other half of her soul or something. Like
No,
the
but,
plan
like-
is
Well, I think
I'm
it's
gonna
like,
rant about this.
you know,
if you
destroying
let
the
me.
pendant also means that her dad dies.
yes.
Yeah, but at the same time, like she's so convicted in all of this. She's brought all of these people
Yeah.
here, and then for her to like stop and be like, "Oh no, I can't do it."
It's like, oh wait, this is what this means.
Yeah, it was like,
to
what
do
about
it.
all the people that you sacrificed for this?
I mean, let's be real. It's bullshit so that Tetsuro can be like the hero.
Yeah.
Because she's weak lady and can't like
Even
throw
though
a pendant
when we
into
first
a core of a planet.
meet her, she's like super spy with like, oh, I got grenades as my earrings. Hold on.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Seriously, she's got severe Trinity syndrome.
The
which
quote unquote
is-
hero, as in killing a whole planet of people, but
Well, true, but like
They were robots.
They're all
eh,
robots.
who
they
cares?
don't care.
Harlock was also shooting up a bunch of them with
Yeah,
his
he's-
ship.
he's-
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Harlock
all
shows up
off-
in his ship,
he's
which
all, like,
is
off on the
like,
surface,
We haven't
blowing
mentioned
things
how. So when Toshiro like sacrificed himself on the slab of Frankenstein, his spirit got like shot into space.
You mean
and now-
on Mount Gun Frontier?
Yes, there. So now his spirit is powering Harlock's ship.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of like, dude, but if Emeraldus was your boo, and like you're
Yeah,
not gonna like give her the
exactly.
time of day.
Exactly.
That's his
Rude.
That's his best friend, though.
Yeah, so
rude.
Harlock shows up in his ship powered by Toshiro.
Maybe you should have had a
and
child
Emeraldus
with
shows
Harlock
up in
then.
her like blimp pirate ship,
I'm sure if
He's
he
got his own
could,
girl.
he would have.
That's
and
probably
they
would
just
have
start
been
like
better.
wrecking shit on the surface. While
Harlock
all of
is
this
standing on top
Yeah,
of his
happening.
ship
Yeah,
with
right.
the captain's wheel.
Yeah.
That's how his ship is in the show. It's kind of intense.
He has a crew.
He has a crew.
Like on his wanted poster, it says Captain Harlock and his 40 crew members or whatever. So he's got people.
Yeah,
firing
admittedly,
guns.
Emeraldus,
Can't be in
who
the
is
main
actually
area.
inside of her ship, like firing
like a
all this stuff.
smart pirate.
She
Yeah.
knows what's
Right.
going on.
Like that's good
Yeah.
ship design. Bad ship design is standing on the roof of your ship with the wheel in your hand.
I do find it weird that she somehow communicates with Tochiro's embodied spirit in Captain Harlock's ship, the Arcadia. Which, after hearing that, I'm like, is that why that game is named Skies of Arcadia on the Dreamcast? Because it is
It's
about
pirates,
means
but
a
that's
lot.
it is
about-
Sky Pirates
that's
and
the
stuff.
Sky
I'm
Pirates,
like,
that's
it
it.
does have an
means a
eye
lot.
patch. So, yeah. So.
Yeah.
Okay.
Although
anyway.
Harlock's probably doing it just because he wants another scar. Let's be honest.
Yeah, that's
He does
He
get
does
a
get
scar.
a
Yeah.
scar.
and he
does
looks
get.
so happy.
He's like,
Wrapped
hell
in
yeah.
Space, hits the other side. He's like, yes, 3 more times, and it'll
Man.
be
Yeah,
really
it's like,
bad.
Chicks dig
Like,
scars.
honestly,
Big
all I was
scars.
waiting for was Frankie and Baby 5 to be behind him. Just be like, yeah, man.
From One Piece.
It's like the irony from what I remember of Harlock is he's actually not like he doesn't really like to fight. If I remember
Yeah.
correctly, he's very stoic. He's a very
Except
stoic
with
man.
these robots, apparently.
Yeah,
He just,
apparently
like,
wants to
fuck
blow
these
the shit
robots.
out
Their
of these
planet.
He's
robots.
totally ready to blow this planet up. Like
Poor
I don't know how
robots.
he how
Yeah.
he knows this is going down. Even like he's not
Right.
even
Yeah.
connected
Just
to
like, guess it's time
what's
to go
going
over
on
to
with
Maytel
this pendant.
and blow up everything.
To be fair, he is familiar with Maytel,
yeah. He
so
probably
maybe
they might have discussed it.
you know,
I guess.
during all that time that no one was helping Tetsuro, maybe Maytel and Harlock are growing over their own little plan
Yeah.
that they got going
like,
on.
look, I'm gonna bring him to Maytel, and then you need to blow the fuck out of this planet.
Wait, Maytel, what do you mean you're going to bring him to Maytel? Aren't you Maytel?
Yeah, we need to talk
Not
about
me.
that.
So like,
Maytel.
Planet Maytel.
Like why not have Harlock go in and
Tetsuro blows up the planet. Cue
Yeah.
very long sequence.
Tetsuro grabs
this was
the
like the
pendant from
longest
Maytel,
running
like,
sequence.
Here, I can do this for you because I am the self-insert for the viewer.
We forgot to
Spartacus.
mention
I am
that
Spartacus.
Prometheum, or Queen Prometheum, has like a galaxy underneath her
yeah,
cloak
she's like
or
a
whatever.
galaxy body.
Yeah, I
Like,
actually
it's so weird.
thought her design was really cool. Where
It is
she's
super
got
cool.
sort of the stars in her like gown cape.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Like-
how
thing.
is that possible with robot?
I don't know.
The same
how is
way
any of
a
this
crystal
possible?
glass robot can be see-through, but still
Yeah, and
somehow
movable
Make a
hair.
very
Movable
good
hair.
point,
Yes.
Karen.
Yeah.
and
I
glow.
concede the point.
It's a projector. That's
Yeah,
all.
it's like high tech fabric.
She walks around with a projector.
She's
the whole time.
on
Yeah.
a Segway
She's a
with
robot.
a
How do you
projector,
know?
Oh my
and it just
God.
projects the
We
galaxy.
never see her feet, so she could just be floating
Yeah,
on
She
something.
could be on a Segway.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Running.
so
More
running.
let's talk about this long running sequence, which
And
is seriously
exploding.
like 10 minutes, and some of the animation is recycled, but a lot isn't, and I'm just like, what, you could have cut this in half?
I know.
Well, that
There's so
explains
many
why there
great
was like
explosions.
30 minutes of cut footage with the
Oh,
Roger
yeah, well, they
Corman.
probably-
It was all from that scene.
Yeah, basically that.
From the running
10
scene.
minutes is from there.
Yeah, this
we're
scene
gonna
was ripe
cut
for the train.
we're gonna cut the song sequence
The
because we don't want
solar
to pay for
flares.
this.
Yeah,
minutes
it's
is from the
basically
very
like
end when we see the
Maytel
same shot
and
5
Tetsuro
times.
running through hallways and stuff
Yeah.
as
For
things
some reason, he's
disintegrate
like,
around them.
"Maytel, follow me.
And that's
Yeah.
why
Grab
the-
it
Lots
for
of
her
random
hands.
dudes
this is when we
just
get
dying.
the reveal of her being
Yeah.
a clone or
She
using-
chooses
yeah.
this time to tell him this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a
Yeah,
clone
I'm
of your
a clone
mom
of your mother."
somehow.
Thanks.
Like, did
BT
Count
dubs.
Okay.
did Count Mecha like be
He's
like
their hero,
"Hey,
so he
I got
was,
a
like,
great
one of the
idea.
clones.
Let's clone
Yeah, actually,
this
does
really
Count
pretty
Mecha know
trophy."
Maytel is like,
I'm
oh, you
sure.
look like this
I'm
trophy on my wall.
sure.
Ugh.
I'm sure he was like, "Here, you should look like this person now instead."
It probably
Yeah.
was
she
like
is
didn't-
beautiful.
Didn't the queen say something like she wanted her daughter to have the most beautiful body? So she probably was like, "Hey, Count, do you know of beautiful,
Know any beautiful bodies? He's like,
Yeah, it's
oh,
like,
I
why, yes, I
recommend
do.
have
this
one
one.
on my
this
wall.
one.
Use this DNA.
I mean, he kills humans, so he probably has gone through a cycle of like, this is the most beautiful one, this is the most beautiful one, and so currently it is the mom.
And poor
who's the
Shadow on
current
Pluto
body.
was like, but what about me?
Yeah.
Well, they can't really use her body because it's encased in ice. So,
I guess that's fair.
I feel like if
Lots
they
of
wanted to
running.
use her body, they would just go and take
Yeah.
the body.
Yeah.
well, maybe they're like,
Maybe
oh,
that
she's
was
our-
Mark II.
Maybe it's one of
Maytel
those
Mark
things where
II.
it's like, oh, you can't actually do it to someone who has already been converted to a robot, so they got to do one.
I don't know.
If
Who
they can go back
knows?
to their
I think we're
bodies, I
getting-
don't
it's
see why
all
they
vague.
We're
can't.
getting very
Like
rulesy
the-
with this.
You're very
Yeah.
right.
The whole
All right, keep
weird
going. Come
point
on,
is like,
keep
oh,
going.
these two kind of love each other, but Maytel is actually a clone of his mom, and like,
Yeah.
this is just
Ew.
creepy.
Yeah, they kiss.
After lots of
Yeah.
running,
later,
gross.
much later.
after
Much
lots of
later.
running, they get back on
Oh,
the
right,
train,
yeah.
which has been patiently
Yeah.
waiting
Yeah,
the
like-
entire time, even though the planet's blowing up around them.
Like, do they not see Harlock in the sky shooting?
Yeah,
everything?
and admittedly, on the train, no one says boo about the fact that their train station is falling apart around them. They're just like,
And
okay,
nobody-
and we're going now.
And why not use
What if that
Captain
wasn't the
Harlock's
scheduled
ship?
time for them to depart? What if
'Cause,
they were
like-
supposed to stay there another like 5 hours?
Please be aware of
There's
the
no
closing
more
doors.
hours because there's no more planet to do a
I know, but
rotation.
that
That
conductor
ruins
was
the-
so strict. He's like, no,
that
we got to
ruins
meet
the
our friends,
schedule.
otherwise I'm going to get fired.
That ruins
well,
the
they just have
schedule.
to change where the last stop is going to be
Yeah, I
because
know,
it's
there's
not
no
that
last
planet
stop.
anymore.
Yeah, guess not.
So somehow Queen Prometheum makes it on the train, even though the
Before
last we see
everyone?
her is like making this really disgusting sounding. Like this is right after we find out that Maytel's a clone of her mother. She's like, ah,
That's true.
That's how we all felt.
yeah.
Yeah, that literally like described everyone's reaction to Maytel being like, "I'm a clone of your mother."
Her body is the clone of her mother. Yeah,
Blah.
Somehow she makes it on the train and like starts strangling Tetsuro.
Teleports onto this train. I don't understand.
Yeah, and then it like
Why,
starts.
how? I
starts
don't know.
throttling
It's for those.
Tetsuro.
It's for that galaxy power that she.
Yeah,
I have
yeah.
no
Sure.
idea.
Sure.
No idea.
Why
Yeah,
not?
whatever. So she
God.
starts killing Tetsuro because she's like, I never want you to be happy, Maytel. I'm gonna watch you suffer for the rest of your life.
Okay.
I'll
'Cause
kill
he
this
destroyed
random
my
boy.
Yeah.
destroy my planet.
And then Claire, like,
Sacrifices.
sacrifices
She grabs
herself.
the queen from
grabs
behind and
Prometheum and
She pulls a
self-destructs,
Chao
Something. She
Explodes,
Pulls a
implodes.
Chao.
overloads her engine,
Overheats herself or something.
She does something to where she dies and the queen dies, but there is no damage
Yeah.
to the train whatsoever.
Murder
Yeah.
on the
Claire's like,
Galaxy
I love
Express.
you, Tetsuro. I'm like, why?
And
Yeah, I'm like,
she
well,
sacrifices herself.
She loves potatoes. That's why.
So she sacrifices herself like a hero, and the way they, honor her is to throw her shit out the door.
It sucks so much.
gather up all the little glass shards
They
and toss
literally-
it out the door.
On a dustpan.
Thank you. Conductor has a fucking dustpan, and it's like, well, let's get this garbage out of here.
Yeah, so the only
Opens-
thing that's left is like
Again,
one of her
throw rules out the
crystallized
window.
tears.
Yeah.
Opens a door,
In space.
a door
While the train is in
space,
motion.
and just throws this shit away.
Okay, whatever.
Tetsuro gets to keep one
Now
piece
there's
of
only
it.
now there's only one crew member on the train.
Yeah, now it's just
Yeah.
the conductor.
So I hope nobody wants food.
The
All the
shabbily
way
dressed
back to Earth,
conductor.
yeah.
Nobody wants to see in the space tunnel.
Galaxy Express
Yeah.
39 is now hiring you guys. We could lose, so you could use some help.
Potentially blow up evil matriarchs.
Yeah.
That skill is a plus. So
You happen
they-
to glow when we pass through secret space wormhole tunnel.
Self-illumination
that'd be great.
preferred.
Oh my god.
So they make it back to Earth, and they're kind of.
With the how many days that passed, that's the.
I think
next
did they say it was like
They,
a year?
they didn't say. My
did we
assumption
just
is
make
like,
that up?
I'm saying like maybe it's
it
been
up.
like a year.
Okay,
It's
so
been a long time.
They made it back to
Knows.
Earth, and
The train does not travel like light speed or faster
Yeah, well,
than
they
light.
clearly don't care about any of that.
No.
I mean,
No.
I'm not going to argue that.
That's-
'cause
let's
it
not
clearly
talk about
must,
light
but I'm not
speed.
going
That
to
has
argue
to
that.
be like a long, awkward trip back if you only got 3 people on the train.
Yeah.
right.
just
And
sitting there
one
in
is, the
silence.
clone,
So,
one is the clone
you're-
body of my
You're a
mom.
clone of my mom.
do
So
I,
it's like
do I
we
call
kissed,
you
but it's
mom?
really awkward now because I
I really
know.
wish you wouldn't. So they make it back to Earth, and they're kind of saying their goodbyes. Maytel, I guess, actually says she's talking about how she loves Tetsuro. And it kind of like at this point you can still kind of be like, oh well, that's where the love is coming from. It's the love of a mother for her son. And then she does like the deepest kiss on the lips, and it's just like, oh no, why, no.
We all groaned. It was intense. We were all
Look.
like, oh,
It was like the boy has become a man.
if you can't
No.
if you can't find someone, sometimes you got to raise someone.
Oh God.
You shut your dirty mouth.
So the train takes
terrible.
I
off.
just want to know, Dennis, did
The
you
train
become a man when you
departs.
kissed your mom?
No,
The
because
train,
that never happened that way.
the train departs, and Tetsuro
God.
Hey,
decides
Ed,
to
what does the
walk.
train do? What does the train do?
It departs.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so Maytel Maytel stays on the train. Tetsuro is not
She
on
rides
the
the
train.
rails. That's
Yeah,
all
she's like, I'm going to ride the rails.
Well,
and
she
like,
says she's
figure
going
out
to
my
go get
purpose in
her,
life.
her
body.
original body back.
From
Pluto.
Pluto.
Yeah, from Pluto.
Saying
wherever it
that,
is.
and Tetsuro's like, well, can I stay with you? Can we meet again? She's like, well, I'll be back, but you won't know it's me because I'll be in my original body, and I don't want to like.
and we're all like, why don't you give her your pendant and then she can come back with the pendant
Yeah.
and be like,
Right.
hey,
Yeah.
look, it's me.
Also, keeping in mind that she is leaving this orphan who ran away from Earth after killing some robots. Kind of wondering like what he's gonna
yeah,
do now.
like so he had this grand adventure. Does he have any money? Does he have any
Nope.
way of supporting himself now?
Nope.
He has a gun.
He's
Back
back on
to
the
the
street.
Get it
You'll have
Yeah.
to you'll have to
Have done will
find
travel, I
out in
guess.
the sequel. Adieu, Galaxy Express 39.
Well, thank God
No.
this
Where
movie ended,
Maytel
because
looks
No, this is
God.
the end of the story for
where
me.
Maytel still looks like Maytel. So
Maytel's
Are
always
you
going to look like
serious?
Maytel.
yeah, why? That's an iconic design.
Sure,
Like
iconic
even if she doesn't look like her, it's still going to be the same face
Right.
because it's Leiji Matsumoto.
I'm in my original body. You're the
You look-
same.
You
look
look the same.
the same.
All
the
the
artist
same.
can only do one body. Just let it go.
We get
You
a
look-
fantastic
You
scene of
related to my
Tetsuro
mom?
running after the train
For like 5
for
minutes.
ages.
Yeah, like he manages to like start running at the train like after it's already left the station and
Yeah.
catches up to it.
Child, you cannot
we
outrun a
somehow
train.
get this amazing shot of the same her holding her hair in the door, him running after her, and then they repeat it for
Yeah.
4 times.
Yeah,
Four
because he
times.
keeps saying like Maytel.
She keeps
That's all
putting
he
her
says.
hair
Like
behind her
she's
ear.
looking out the window and he doesn't really follow up with any statement.
No.
It's-
Yep. They stopped subtitling
It's like,
it.
does he want to get on the train? Because he had ample opportunity to get on the train,
sub-
but he doesn't.
The person
He
who's doing
said it's-
subtitles was like, "Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
done
he
with this."
said it so many times that the subtitles just
It's like
cut
when you
out.
want to do closed caption or lyrics for a police song, and you get to the end of the song for a police song, you're just like,
We're just repeating.
"Yeah, like okay, I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna yeah, times 7, leave it at that because fuck,
Yeah.
I don't want to write anymore."
And then the train finally does take off, and we see the conductor at the very end who
just waves. It's like,
Did he wave? I don't remember him waving.
No,
Stood there.
he's just like, you're not a passenger on this train. I don't have to give you
"Fuck
shit.
off."
you don't have a ticket.
And to be fair, it's not like Tetsuro was saying his name.
That's true.
Yeah.
Doctor.
Now that I think about it, that train stayed on Earth for like 5 minutes because they walked off, they had that conversation, and then the train went off again. So that was like the shortest.
He's like, a
stop
planet blew up. This
on
messed up our
Earth.
schedule. We gotta go.
Yeah.
Like, what happened to staying on
Unscheduled planetary
planet for
destruction.
Where is your
day?
final stop now?
That's
Who knows?
true.
All right, so let's get into.
Oh, and then the credits,
voice
he's
talk.
just mounting on the
Gun
train.
Frontier.
It's the final destination.
Oh no.
All right,
God.
so let's get into
No
our
more
characters.
place for all the mechanized people to go. Anybody wants to be
So,
mechanized, you can't
let's
go
start
to the train.
with Maytel. Do you want to go first, Dad? Because you have the Japanese voices, I have the
Sure.
English.
So I will preface by saying, since these are a lot of people who are famous from the 60s and 70s, they are not in a lot of stuff that I have heard of, so I apologize if I left out some iconic role of theirs. But Maytel is Ikeda Masako, who, at least from what I know, is Nodoka in Ranma 1/2. He's Reika in Eso Nerai. And also apparently does most of the official dubbing for Audrey Hepburn movies.
Really?
Interesting.
Yes.
That's interesting.
Nice. In English, Maytel is played by Kathleen Barr, who also lends her voice to Tetsuro's mom and Queen Prometheum.
What a
so,
shock.
Yeah. And she reprises her role as Maytel in Adieu Galaxy Express 3-9. She's also Yukie in Mermaid Scar, Morrigan in Night Warriors, Darkstalker's Revenge, and Cologne in Ranma Half. So
Yay.
another Ranma relation
time
there.
period.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Maytel, design, voice. What do you guys think?
I mean, her design is cool. Like, her voice is kind of cool. Like, she seems like this sort of mysterious, glamorous character, but her actual backstory is so messed up. Like, I don't think I can like her anymore.
In
didn't really
English,
do
I don't like her voice in English all
No,
that
I
much.
was just about to mention that her Japanese voice was pretty good. There's a lot of subtext in her delivery, but in English it's just so monotone.
Which makes sense when you realize,
boring.
oh, okay, she is a robot, so that
Yeah.
applies. But she's not supposed to be known as being a robot, so it's one of those things where it's like, why do you always talk like this all the time?
It's a weird like triple level. Like she was real, but then she was a robot, but then she's put in a clone body. So
Yeah.
it's like
Right.
Yeah.
And then there's
real
also the
person inside of a clone. I
Yeah.
don't know.
The
It's
whole
weird.
way this thing is structured is very vague.
yeah.
yeah.
I still see some cosplay over though. I feel like every time
Hers is one of the iconic ones.
yeah. I want to say I feel like what's her face, Juvia from Fairy Tale,
Oh,
also
yeah.
kind of
Well,
apes
yeah,
her
that
design.
Russian hat and like a
Yeah.
little capelet with fur trim.
Lots of fur trim and stuff. That's cool. All right, who do you have next?
Next
Ed?
up, we'll talk about Tetsuro, who is probably the most famous. This list is Nozoa Masako, who everybody knows as Goku, and
Gohan.
and assorted family
And
members
Goten.
in Dragon
Yeah.
Ball.
All same
And
face,
Bulldog.
half of
Yeah,
same
from
face,
Dragon
same
Ball.
hair,
Goku
Dragon
Jr.
Ball.
But this
and
this
Turles.
predates Dragon Ball. So was this one of her earlier roles?
It was
Like
one of her
early roles?
very early roles.
Who else has
she's
she been?
Also Kitaro and Gegege no Kitaro.
Oh wow!
And then, if you remember last episode, we talked about how the police chief was the first Doraemon. Well, she took over as the second
Oh.
Doraemon.
Oh, nice.
Wow.
Carrying on that tradition.
She's also in a Laputa as well.
Oh, that's right. She
Yeah.
is.
Is she the current Doraemon?
No.
Okay.
They-
I was trying to
Doraemon has
remember.
changed
Doraemon's
so
been
many
around for
times.
Oh, okay.
decades.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
No, the Doraemon's been around like longer than any of us have been alive.
All I know is it came to Disney for like
A hot
year.
A hot
Yeah.
minute.
Yeah, hot minute.
Tetsuro is voiced by Saffron Henderson, who we have mentioned before as being Aria in The Vision of Escaflowne, one of the cat peoples.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she's the one with
The gold one or
golden
the silver
hair.
one?
Golden
Okay.
hair. Yeah.
We always try
Funny.
to remember that.
I remembered because Aria is closer to G for gold, and Naria is closer to S for silver. So yeah,
Oh, that's
and
handy.
and letters. Yeah. Funny enough, Saffron Henderson is the voice of Goku and Gohan in the ocean, or like Kid Goku, excuse me, and Gohan in the ocean dub for Dragon Ball.
Okay.
So
Double
But
Dragon
double
They
connection
double
there.
match.
connection for that.
Well, she's got a
Very
good like
awesome.
little kid voice.
Yeah.
Like I mean, it still sounds like a woman being a little kid to me, but it doesn't sound quite as awkward as some.
She's
that I've heard.
also other people too, like Kazuko Yoshiyama and The Girl Who Left Through Time, and Lucrezia Noin in Gundam Wing. Yeah,
Oh
her
God, she's annoying.
her voice as this, it gave me a little bit of like a Colleen Clinkenbeard vibe with how she does Luffy's voice for the Funimation dub.
Yeah.
So like hearing like, oh shit, yeah, that is Gohan. Okay, I can hear that now. Yeah, similar. All right. So what do you think of Tetsuro's designs, except for when he was like the flashback
Potato
kid,
Child.
Like the
where
Picasso potato.
Yeah, Picasso potato child with the eyes super close to
That was
the
so
to the
terrifying.
hair.
I don't
together.
get what's up with the noses in this.
His design is very inconsistent.
Every now
Yeah.
and then he'll look like super cool shonen protagonist boy
Yeah.
was like hair covering one eye. I'm like a kid Harlock, yeah.
Yeah, and then he turns into like an awkward potato.
With giant mouth and stuff. He gets beat up a lot.
Yeah, like he has these tiny little beady eyes, and then this nose that either is like has no shape to it whatsoever, or it's just kind of like a
supposed to
lump.
It's supposed to be like you can see in the profile. They all have, or most of the characters have like a soft. It's like a soft button nose. It's really
Yeah.
small. It's not a large
It
nose.
just
but
doesn't work when you're
but
trying to draw it face on.
Face on. Usually, anime is very strong with like the pointed nose, so you
Yeah.
get like the effect of a pointed nose straight on. You can't do that with the
No,
small
it's just
button
like
nose.
Yeah.
So
they have these
it's
like
a
two
little
lines that
squiggle.
kind
It's-
of
yeah.
intersect, and it doesn't look like a
So
nose
it's
or
supposed
anything
to
else.
indicate like a round nose, but it doesn't.
I
work in the
know.
He's
front.
still a potato child.
Yeah,
He is
always
very-
potato.
Starch boy.
Who you got next?
All right, so but next up we have Antares, who in Japanese is Hisamatsu Yasuo, who apparently does not do much anime. He was a live action actor for several dozen TV shows in the
Nice.
50s and 60s, and he also apparently dubs a lot of Burt Lancaster voices.
Oh, wow.
Cool.
That's a interesting.
Good for him. Oh, that's a manly man voice.
Yep.
Antares is played by Dawn Brown, who also happens to be the narrator for this, along with Adieu Galaxy Express 39, because Antares sure as hell doesn't make it through this.
Yeah.
He also does a ton of voices in the Dragon Ball Z Ocean dub. He is Berter, Garlic Jr., King Kai, King Yema, Mr. Satan, and Shenron, just to name a few. He is also Jaken in Inuyasha, and
Okay.
Chief Otsuka in Tetsujin 28.
So did Viz just use the Ocean Group for this dub?
Yeah, because that's who Viz was working with.
Okay.
Like, you
Yeah,
will
so
get a
that-
lot
that-
of Dragon Ball Z and Ocean Group, and you'll get a lot of Ranma Half people.
Ah, okay.
So yeah, this was.
I liked
around the
Antares.
time.
I guess his design was so cool that he couldn't really last. Like you kind of know that he's destined to go out in a blaze of glory.
Yeah.
Yeah, like both his Japanese voice and his English voice, they give him like this nice, like burly dude. And reading the people that he does in Dragon Ball, I'm like, okay, yeah, sure. Lots of big guys. I mean, he's Mr. Satan, but Garlic Jr. is not a big burly guy. He's tiny.
He reminds me of Balgus
Does he
in
do-
Escaflowne.
Big Garlic Jr.
Sure, yeah,
So
because
he could
he's
be big and burly.
yeah, he could be big and burly, but like Garlic Jr. starts out as tiny, so yeah. Yeah, I like Antares. Okay enough. Like he's like the bandit with a heart of gold type thing
He had the iconic scar on his cheek.
on his
Yep.
cheek. Yep.
As did many.
I guess it's like
Yeah.
the sign of a good guy.
I guess we got more Scar people coming up. Who do you got next?
You would think
Ed?
it would be like the
Alright,
opposite.
so-
Scar the bad guy.
Queen
Scar's good.
Emeraldus.
Cool.
Another one who didn't do much anime-wise, Tajima Reiko. Again, several dozen 60s and 70s TV shows. I really didn't find many other anime roles for her.
Okay.
Did she do the other Harlock related?
No.
Oh, so
Unlike-
it's just this movie?
Well, as far as I could tell. 'Cause
What about
unlike-
in
unlike
Adieu?
Harlock, who we'll talk about later.
She's not even reprising her role in Adieu Galaxy Express
I
39?
think they might have changed her around.
Okay.
Oh.
For English, she's voiced by Nicole Oliver, who also reprises her role as Queen Emeraldus in Adieu Galaxy Express 39. And she is Naria in The Vision of Escaflowne. So Maytel, Emeraldus... I'm sorry, not Maytel. Tetsuro is actually Eri in Vision of Escaflowne. So yeah, never mind.
That's a
I was
weird
hoping...
combo.
yeah.
Potatoes and pirates.
Nicole Oliver is also the sorceress in the first Cardcaptor Sakura movie, the villain,
Oh, yeah.
along with Shizuka Todo in Boys Over Flowers and Katsumi Liqueur in Silent Mobius movies, both 1 and 2.
Liqueur.
Yeah, I feel like I want to talk more about Emeraldus, but like you don't
doesn't
really
have a
get to
big role.
do much for her. Like
It was straight up a cameo role. It was
Yeah.
a cameo appearance.
I mean,
character design is super cool.
Yeah, I wish that this movie had been more about her and Harlock because I find them to be much more interesting than.
Well, you're
this
in
stuff.
luck, Kate, because there's a whole bunch of Harlock
There's a whole
and
bunch of
Queen
Harlock.
Emeraldus. If you
He,
want to,
like Harlock gets his outfit from her, from what I remember. She's
Think
the one.
so,
that
yeah.
has
Oh, so
it.
she's the originator?
She's
Yeah,
the
she's the
originator.
originator.
Oh, that's
outfit.
cool.
yeah, like Harlock somehow earns her respect.
Probably
But-
with a scar.
Yeah, but she's the one who's like, yeah, she's the one who's really in charge of space.
Yeah.
She's like, you want my outfit? You get this scarf. Then we'll talk.
All right, next.
So let's talk about Harlock then. He's Inoue Makio, who, besides being the Harlock and the various spin-off series, he's probably most well known for being Goemon in the Lupin series. Well, the second and the third Lupin series.
Nice.
So pretty much everything from the 90s to the late 2000s, all
Okay.
the movies and various Lupin
I was gonna
properties.
say, I was like, so all the other movies too? Sweet,
Yeah.
nice. So basically, until like part 4 and Fujiko Mine,
Right.
he was Lupin. Or he was
Goemon.
Goemon. Excuse me.
Right.
Cool. In English, Captain Harlock is played by Scott McNeil, who reprises his role as Harlock in Adieu Galaxy S39. We've talked about him before because he's Jajika and King Aston in Vision of Escaflowne. He's a bunch of other people in Dragon Ball like Dabra, Jace, Majin Buu, and Piccolo. He's also Koga and Inuyasha, Duo Maxwell, and Gundam Wing, and there's a bunch more as well. I just like...
He's also Wolverine and X-Men, not Origins, the high school one. X-Men Evolution.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh.
Evolution.
All right, cool. So, Harlock, talk.
Well, again, it's like it's
cameo.
better to watch him
Iconic.
in his own.
Yeah, that's
series.
true.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would
I
rather
believe-
watch him in
He
his own
doesn't
series.
show up late every time.
Yeah, well,
I
here it's
believe-
like if he showed up on time, though, he would just kind of dominate the whole.
Yeah.
I
plot.
believe the first Captain Harlock TV series is on Crunchyroll, like the old like
Oh,
80s
really?
version, or maybe
Wow.
70s. I don't know. But yeah, it's all there. I've been tempted to give it a go. But I'm like, it's 100-something episodes. I still have Dragon Ball Super and Hunter
a
to get
there's
through.
So
and
much Harlock stuff. It's kind of crazy. There's
I
lots
hear
of
that
reiterations of it.
the newer like CGI Harlock that's on Netflix is not so great. From what I
Oh.
hear.
Is that the movie or the series?
Don't know.
Because
haven't watched
I
it.
remember there was like a movie that came out about when I was like 3 years ago when I was
Okay.
overseas, and suddenly I was like, why is there a Captain Harlock advertisement in Paris? This makes no sense.
Oh wow.
I'm trying to remember which one I have actually seen. I think I've seen a couple of the movies. Like I haven't watched the entire series.
I'd like to watch it.
I couldn't tell you which one was better, but he is for a stoic dude, he's actually pretty captivating. It's kind of fun to watch
Okay.
his
Okay.
story. So.
He's also kind of like, besides the eye patch and scar, same guy face for Matsumoto's designs too. So,
Yeah.
He's got that weird bird that had no neck, the invisible neck. That's
the
his
tiniest of
bird,
necks.
and they all have the sword gun thing. And then he pilots.
take
pilots
that,
a
Final
ship on
Fantasy
top
VIII.
of the-
Well, I feel like
pilots a ship on top.
I liked his voice in Japanese in this, and then his voice in English was like too low. Like he sounded too burly for that kind of character design.
I think they just wanted him to be,
I think they were
kind
going
of
for
badass.
the loner, loner low,
the lone
voice is
wolf
what that
type
was.
voice.
yeah, but
yeah.
it was like lone wolf with like a huge ass chest or something.
Oh,
like
I
his
don't know.
vocals were too low.
He didn't sound too low for me. He sounded lower than what Scott McNeil usually sits at. Mm-hmm. But it wasn't like Jameson low.
All right, next.
All right. So Count Mecha is
What was the Japanese name again?
Kikai Hakushaku.
Yeah, which is basically
which
the
is
same
machine
thing.
count. Is Shibata Hidekatsu. So this is a guy who's been active for decades, is still in the actively recording. So
Nice.
just to pick out a few
That's awesome.
of maybe more known roles, he's King Bradley in Full Metal Alchemist. He's Hiruzen, the third Hokage in Naruto,
Oh.
and Monkey D. Dragon in One Piece.
Oh, snap. Okay.
Nice.
So like the big badass types.
Yes, he definitely has a type.
It's funny because like Count Mecha in this is
He's
like
not a
he's
big
sort of
badass
like
type.
an over the top big bad, but he's not super like manly man. He's
Yeah.
just kind of like, I am evil and wahaha.
Yeah, he's like, if he had a twirly mustache, it would
Yes.
be there because he's kind of like that.
He needed
has no
a
face.
gauge on his face that could twirl.
It's just a clock hand.
yeah, it's like
Twirls
twirl
the
that
clock
clock hand.
In English, Count Mecha is played by Paul Dobson, who we've mentioned before because he is Howard and Billy Kane in Fatal Fury, the motion picture, Shion in Please Save My Earth, and Fulkin a bunch of others, and Vision of
and
Escaflowne.
Escaflowne.
So yeah. He also plays Miyoga and Naraku and Inuyasha, Hapasai and a bunch more in Ranma Half, and he's Dodoria, Dr. Brief, Zarbon, and also a bunch more in Dragon Ball Z for the Ocean dub. Canada, you lucky, lucky country, getting all that stuff.
Vancouver had a lot of voice actors.
Yeah. Anything else you want to talk about for Count Mecha's designs besides him needing a twirly mustache made out of clock hands?
You don't see him
That
very
would have
much,
made
but
things a lot funnier.
he is
For being the big bad, he doesn't actually do much.
He just comes off as like kind of like a spoiled like dick
Yeah.
in a way.
Yeah.
mechanized humans that ride real horses.
Yeah.
and
But
shoot human-
he wants to
humans.
live on Mount Gun Frontier, y'all.
Ugh.
Mount Gun Frontier.
Mount Gun Frontier.
The new frontier
Bang,
land.
bang. Shoot, shoot. Bullet, bullet.
Okay,
gun.
All right,
anyway.
and finally,
Last one.
we have Claire, who is Asagami Yoko in Japanese. Not that many roles, but a couple notable ones. She is Sayako in City Hunter, and Yuki in Space Battleship Yamato.
Nice. Claire is Janice Jod, who we've mentioned before because she plays Panny in Fatal Fury the motion picture. She's the female villain. We didn't actually mention her when we talked about it, but she's in that. And she plays Ira in Green Legend Ron as well. She's also Kagura in Inuyasha, Felicia in Night Warriors Dark Stalker's Revenge, and Marjorie Daw in Shakugan no Shana. Poor Claire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She has a super cool design.
What a
but
waste.
man,
Yeah, it's just like a bad backstory, bad end. Like, poor Claire.
Seriously.
like of any character that you would
Poor
want to see
every
live.
single
like,
woman in
Claire
this film.
Yeah,
Let's
the
be
women don't
honest.
really come off that great, except for maybe Emeraldus, who's just kind of like, yeah, I showed up and wrecked some shit. And
I'm badass.
Yeah, but
If-
then she
Let's move
like
on.
is like, oh, my guy
She
is.
did
Oh yeah, my
suffer from
guy like
Hilde
couldn't even come back to
syndrome.
like say goodbye to me. He went straight to his best bud's ship instead.
Yeah,
like, what's up
gonna
with
turn
that?
around and walk away now.
To
Yeah.
be fair, she probably met him on that ship somehow.
Yeah.
Fair,
I
fair,
think,
but
I
at
think
the same
he was
time,
friends with Harlock before meeting her. I think.
But
You
you
know,
know, like I don't know if it should always
when
be
you
bros
have
before
a
hoes.
child with somebody.
I know you would think there'd be a priority.
Yeah.
there.
She still comes off
But her
best
ship
out of
was
all the
still,
women in
her
this
ship
Yeah.
was still working.
Yes.
movie.
She didn't turn into a Hildy.
Yes,
She didn't pull off the I'm a badass and I gotta die.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
that is true. But you know, one out of what?
Yeah, actually, everyone who was not a
Four.
badass ended up dying, except for the queen, who was kind of a badass, but she was evil, so she
Yeah.
had
yeah,
to die.
she doesn't count.
Yeah,
Yeah.
She
But, like-
also had no backstory. She was just like, I'm evil because.
I'm a queen.
I am pro mechanization.
Yeah.
All right. Final thoughts. Round the room.
Who are we starting with?
Let's start with Kate. Kate, go.
It was so like convoluted, and it felt really disjointed. And I know that it was trying to condense a much longer TV show into a movie, and it was probably hitting all the highlights that people liked in Japan anyway. But as a coherent movie, it fails. Like there's some pretty character designs. The animation is very spotty in sections. There's a lot of repeated stuff, and it's overly long. So yeah,
Other than that, it's
Okay.
great.
yeah.
Karen.
Okay, I'm not gonna talk very much because I'm in the middle of hiccups. So if I hiccup in the middle, I apologize. I'm trying not to hiccup really bad right now.
Well, you're using a lot of words to talk about hiccups. You should just kept going.
Just keep talking and I won't hiccup. It was an interesting piece to watch for that time period. It definitely suffered from condensing though.
Yeah, I feel like I haven't really seen anything from this era before. So the aesthetics of it were interesting on a certain level, but I have a lot of complaints about pacing.
It did feel very like from the Harlock stuff that I have seen. It did like I was just waiting for him to show up because it felt very felt very Harlock. The setup and the art is obviously the same, but
Yeah. But it's like,
Obviously.
it's not about him.
trying not to hiccup. I'm sorry. Dennis is yelling at me, and I'm
You
like,
just
"Let
need
me
to
just-
speak
let me
louder
just
into the
keep-
microphone.
Let me
That's
just
all.
keep talking and like hold
Because
in my
I'm
stomach
looking
so I'm
at
not
the
talking.
meters and you are barely registering
I know
as you're
I'm not
talking.
registering. It was very like Harlock, and I was waiting for him to show up because it's very art style, and I just kept looking at the kid. I'm literally talking in the microphone. I'm sorry.
Yes, but
you're trailing off.
You're
trailing
providing
off.
your own fade out.
Get more excited.
It's like,
I'm
it's
tired.
okay.
It's
If
late.
you're going to say something negative, like say it with passion.
Fuck this movie.
Okay, Caitlin.
That's how you really feel.
That was
You
hard.
said say something with passion. That's what I said.
Is that how
yeah.
you feel?
Going, Karen.
No, I'm done.
You're done?
Yes,
now
I'm
it's
done.
Caitlin's turn.
Fantabulous. Okay, fuck this movie is probably a little strong. But yeah, when we brought up the no actual like good female characters thing, I was like, did I like anybody in this movie? Answer:
Claire?
no.
Oh, not
I didn't
there.
like any of the characters. I didn't give a shit about Tetsuro's story. Like, honestly, sad, tragic mom dying backstory might have been cool in the 70s, but now it's really dated. It's really aged. And yes, I will concede the point that it is trying to cram an entire like series of television or more into a 2.5 hour movie.
Felt like 3.
It felt like 3. Literally, after we got done with this movie, I turned to Kate and said, I feel like I just had my brain rubbed with steel wool. What did I just watch?
And then we're like, let's open that wine.
Let's open that wine because that's the only way this is going to make sense. Yeah, so all the like rule breaking I wasn't a fan of because it's like, well, establish your rules, please. A lot of the characters were kind of did things because it was convenient for the plot. People showed
Lots
up
of
because it was
exposition.
convenient for the plot.
Yeah.
Lots of running where it didn't need to happen. And
But running is art.
running is not art. Running is something you do when something is chasing
running
you.
is art in the 70s.
Ugh.
I don't know.
Okay, well, you got me there.
You can't even say that with a straight face.
I know
Yeah.
I couldn't. I couldn't.
I probably wouldn't recommend anybody watch this unless you're like a diehard fan of early 70s anime and eyelashes.
Yeah, well, I think if you like Galaxy Express 39, the TV show or something, then sure, why not watch the movie? But
I mean, if you really like,
like
the TV
you have
show,
to like
watch
this
the
stuff
TV
first.
show.
Like this is a bad introduction to this whole world.
Yeah. Like maybe the whole thing is about this show is about like a journey on a train, but
Except the
don't
train doesn't
talk
play
at
a
me
very
about
big role,
a
though.
train trip changing a boy into a man, and then be like, by the way, there's going to be like almost no train.
Yeah, and whatever happens on the train is really irrelevant.
Yeah. So if you're gonna do that in a movie, be like,
They
talk
killed
about
the big baddie
the
on the
journey or whatever. Yeah, they didn't do that though.
I know they
Claire
didn't.
blew her up in a controlled explosion. Didn't touch anybody else. Sorry. So yeah, do not recommend.
Garrett.
You gotta follow that. I'm sorry.
I know, right? So my gut reaction is to put this next to the garbage that is "Please Save My Earth."
Whoa.
However,
Whoa.
it's not that bad in the sense that it actually told a "quote unquote" complete story. It had an ending, unlike "Please Save My Earth." But with the whole semi-incest thing, it's just like, ugh, that's a bad way to end it. I'm kind of with everyone else. It's like there's no one really likable. The story is very rushed. The pacing's off. Of course, yeah, they're trying to cram in a lot of story, but if you're going to cram it in, try to do it well or competently. I don't know.
Yeah, I felt like there was probably a better way of writing things so that it flowed better rather than having these disjointed sections and then having people from previous sections appear at the end just because they were popular characters, not because they had really justified them being there.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. If you did like the manga or the actual television show, you might like it just because you don't know what to expect.
It's probably like one of those compilation episodes, but in a movie form.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, oh, you watched the whole show.
Right.
How about watch this compilation movie
Right.
thing?
So yeah, if you know it, you might like it. If you've never been introduced to this before, then like Kate said, it's a bad way to introduce someone to the series. So I give it a big.
Ed.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much like everybody said. I feel like if you had watched the TV show and enjoyed it, this is supposed to be the most favorite moments from
it's supposed to be a best of,
Right.
but it doesn't work
So-
unless you actually like everything to begin with.
So I think if you would watch the TV show and enjoyed it, and then this movie would be like the shorthand to bring all those moments back to you. So I definitely wouldn't start with this movie. It'd be the kind of like, hey, I'd like to revisit Galaxy Express, but I don't have time to sit through 50 episodes or whatever. Then maybe that is the role this movie serves. But other than that, I see no reason to watch this in an independent fashion.
Dennis,
I like 3/4 of this movie.
which
that's a
3/4?
The first parts. So
the first
basically,
3/4.
up until they get to Planet Maytel, where I was like, "Oh, it lost me now."
So where it should have naturally ended.
Where it should have naturally
yeah.
ended, where they defeated Count Mecha, I felt like would
Yeah.
have been a good stopping point. But I
Yeah.
still enjoyed most of the journey. Like, I know that it doesn't end on a good note, but there's a lot I feel like, to pour over for this. Like, there's a lot of, like, in terms of classic anime history, we get a brief intro to people like Harlock and Emeraldus and Tochiro and all them. Like, when I watched this, it reminded me of that one time that Kate, our cosplay group, competed in the Fanime Masquerade, and we win Best in Show, but the person who won Best in Show was this really elaborate Emeraldus and Harlock costume, and they had the graveyard scene with Tochiro on there. And watching it there, I didn't know what the fuck was happening.
Well, basically, it was sort of like a long voiceover monologue kind of thing, where it's them and this like gravestone, and it was really hard to hear what they were saying.
Yeah, their
but you
audio
could
was
tell it was supposed to be
audio
meaningful.
was terrible.
Yeah,
like it was muffled.
but it was supposed to be meaningful.
It was supposed to be meaningful,
And their costumes were great.
gorgeous.
Yeah,
I was just bored to death at that
And
skit.
they,
So-
they won Best in
They won
Show.
Best
Was
in
it like
Show.
for their costume or was it like
for
best?
everything.
Best in
It
Show
was
is
Best in
supposed to be
Show
a
for
combined best
thing.
of.
Yeah, I was bored to death. but
I
their
will
costumes
say
were
that
gorgeous.
I don't know how Fanime Masquerade is now, but for a long time, like they would heavily favor stuff that was dramatic over stuff that was comedy.
Yeah.
So the fact that it was dramatic and their costumes looked great, like that definitely played in their favor.
It went the
And maybe
artsy
the
way.
judges knew what they were talking about. I don't
Yeah,
know.
I just couldn't understand the skit.
Yeah.
They might have been able to hear it better.
Yeah. So, like, I still enjoy this. I would say if you can borrow it from somebody, maybe watch
Yeah,
it.
don't
Maybe
pay money
not
for this.
Own this.
Definitely do not.
Because I watched this with right before watching the sequel, Adieu Galaxy Express 39. Like, I still want to revisit that to see if because it's like a brand new, not condensed story. It's like all on its own thing. So
Maybe they could actually write a
an
coherent
actual
plot,
coherent
a movie
plot
length
thing.
plot.
Yeah, that still has some characters returning and stuff,
Okay.
and some characters don't. So I'm curious about revisiting that. I'm also curious about actually watching the main TV show. But yeah, like I'd give this maybe like C- for a shot. Like at least it gave me a nice introduction to the designs for Leiji Matsumoto without having to sit through hundreds of hours of, or 100 hours of super long TV show. So yeah, like there's stuff that I can recommend about this. If you can either borrow, get on the cheap, go for it. It is an okay, I wouldn't say a good or nice. It is
Okay.
a semi-decent introduction to some of the more famous character designs of Matsumoto's work.
Because I know there's several there was the anime that you think should get more recognition, and there were several people that were like
Talking
the
this up.
full show, not the movie.
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
full show. They said that was something that not enough people have seen,
Yeah.
and it needs more recognition.
This might
so.
be a case of like Gunbuster, the movie. most people who love Gunbuster the OVA don't like the movie because it cuts out, it's like a 6-episode OVA or something like that gets condensed into like just 2 hours. So they cut out a lot of plot and development. So obviously a lot of plot and development get cut out from this. So I am curious to check out the TV series, but yeah, it is middling at best for this. I don't know how it's like an 8 point whatever on IMDb.
Well, because a lot of people in Japan apparently loved it because they loved the TV show. So I think if you know what's going on and this is supposed to be a best of,
it probably
the
makes
pacing and the characterization issues don't pop out as much because you already know what it's supposed to be representing.
You fill in the blanks yourself.
But when you don't have those blanks filled in and you watch this and you're just it's mystifying.
Like we don't get Antares named until he shows up in the time castle. I want to say time capsule so badly, but it's time castle. We don't get Tochiro mentioned at all.
Both.
We don't get Tochiro mentioned at all unless you're paying attention to his diary of Tochiro on his little Frankenstein deathbed, or when like Emeraldus and Harlock finally actually say Tochiro. So So yeah, unfortunate.
Yeah.
But I bought this. I'm still keeping it. I'm probably going to buy Adieu Galaxy Express 39. Apparently the third movie, which came out in like the late 90s, does not have an English dub. It never got, only recently got brought over here. So yeah. All right.
Okay.
That'll about end it. It is late where we are. Thank you everyone here for sticking around, for watching this, putting up with this one.
This one's
my choice.
This is gonna get like
me
pretty
pig,
long.
Dennis.
This
Thumbs
was my
down.
choice.
Well, I had like I'm not the
thumb in the middle.
Caesar that kills anybody. I'm thumb in the middle.
Yeah. Ed, where can people find you?
As usual, I'm at the very long Twitter handle, Ippen no Kuinashi. And
Garrett.
I will continue to be Mysterious Face, I guess.
Are you going to be at any conventions later? Probably just Anime Expo.
Probably not till Anime Expo, right?
All right, that's super far away. Yeah. Garrett, how about you?
You can find me on Twitter at Blackriku. That's BLKRIKU. As far as where I'll be, I'll probably be at WonderCon for a day. Other than that, there's nothing really like up close that's coming up.
Okay.
Not until like Comic-Con and Dragon Con and all that. So,
all right. You got to buy your Dragon Con ticket soon.
I do.
Caitlin, where can people find you?
You can find me on Instagram and Twitter.
Yeah.
I have reclaimed my Twitter handle.
I gotta follow you.
The Russian spam bots.
Russian bots be damned.
But I really don't use it a lot, but you can, I guess, reach me there.
You should just link your Twitter and Instagram together, so every time you Insta, it'll post.
Oh, yeah,
there.
I can do that, can I?
Yes, you can.
Yes.
So you never have to post on Twitter.
How about that? Yes. So you can find me on Instagram or Twitter at Koject, Kouject. Or you can find me on Facebook at We're Not Twins Cosplay.
Karen.
I am on just about every social media thing, almost, as Raya Cosplay, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, ACP, World Cosplay, apparently, as I forgot I had that.
Oops.
Yeah. I was like, oh, I got a notification. Oh, I have that. Hey! Oh, surprise!
Kate.
I'm on Twitter at Taiko-chan and Instagram at taiko.chan. And I think the next thing I have coming up is WonderCon.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Same.
I'm going hardcore, hopefully. Fingers crossed.
Nice.
WonderCon.
Nice.
We're going to try.
Nice.
You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and Monster Hunter World on Itchnob on PlayStation.
What?
What was that to find you on Inchnob? Okay, all
Find
right.
me at Itchnob on all social media stuff, the PlayStation Network. You just have to say that you listen to the podcast or whatever, because I don't really like adding too many randos. You can also find me, or find the show rather, on we have a lot of places for the show. So we also have our website. We can find the show at vintageanimeclub.com. We have a Facebook page, Vintage Anime Club, Twitter, Vintage Anime Pod, Instagram, Vintage Anime Club, and I got to remember to take pictures of the wine that we drank. And we also have a YouTube channel where Garrett is going to start uploading more recent episodes first, then we'll get into the back catalog a little bit later. So feel free to...
This will be the first one that's going to go on our YouTube page. From now on, the new episodes will come up on the YouTube page as well.
A little bit
And then-
later, not the same time that the
Yeah.
episodes come out.
Yeah,
so.
they will be probably the last ones to update just in terms of everything that comes out. And then as we go, I'm going to try to backlog everything and try to get as much out as we can from the library.
Hell yeah. So thank you, Garrett. Don't forget to follow, subscribe, whatever you want to do with the other show areas as well for other podcast aggregates. We're on Apple Podcasts, formerly iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play Music, Blueberry, iHeartRadio, Player FM, Podbean, Overcast, and Podchaser. I also post a topic about it on the Retro Anime subreddit, where you can comment, like, whatever post on there, and we'll try to read them on the show. We haven't gotten any yet. And don't forget to purchase this this anime title to help support the show if you wanted to. It's just waiting for a good sale on either Amazon or Right Stuff through our affiliate links. And don't forget to email us also at vintageanimeclub@gmail.com. All right. We're done. Thank you guys, everyone, for being here. Thanks, everyone, for listening. Glasses up. Kanpai.
Kanpai.
Galaxy Express 39 will take you on a journey, a never-ending journey. A journey to the stars. Galaxy Express 39 will take you on a journey, a never-ending journey. A journey to the stars.
Today's show was brought to you by Complicated by Taken Wine Co. Raised in the Napa Valley, wine is in our DNA. We created Taken Wine Company with a simple philosophy: to craft great wines to share with our friends. Whether taken, complicated, or available, we hope you enjoy them.
I like this one a lot more than the second one.
And the second one is The Seeker, which has a dirigible on it, so in honor of
Oh yeah, blimps.
blimps.
Pirate
Base
ship.
blimps.
It is by
Submarine blimp.
Van de France. Do you have a taste for risk, a curious nature, and a daring spirit? Then join The Seeker on a global wine adventure. Embark on your own sensory safari with wines made by family wineries focused on their regional specialties, from Zealand, New Zealand, to Germany, France, to Argentina, Chile, to Italy, and
Too much
beyond. The Seeker, it's out there.
That's a good one for a pirate ship.
Hell yeah.
I guess so. It's supposed to taste like sweet cherries and spice, silky texture, and a long, smooth finish, but I think it kind of kicked me in the teeth.
Oh,
How's the smooth
All
finish for
right.
you? Pa.
We will be back next time with Eve's choice of Nazca.